Grace and Gracie the Swan are honored today on a lovely day for baseball. The Cubs lead the wild card by a game over the Mets, and they're hopeful of seeing Sammy Sosa hit number 61 today. I don't know about you, partner, but when I was filling out my scorecard today, I got a shiver when I saw Sammy Sosa with 60 home runs and 145 batted in.
It's hard to believe that we would ever see a Chicago Cub player with 60 home runs. Not only that, but 60 home runs with still 13 games to go. And Sammy has got a great shot. Chip, we'll get into it later, but I wrote down some of his numbers against pitchers that he will probably see in San Diego, and they're staggering. So he's got a good shot in that 4-game series.
But first things first, you got to worry about this Milwaukee ball club, a team that's been very pesky against the Cubs so far in 1998. And here's a look at Phil Garner's starting lineup with Fernando Vina, Mark Loretta, Dave Nilsson over at first base. Then it's Jeff Cirillo, Jeromy Burnitz, who's killed us with the long ball. Marquise Grissom in center field hits 6th. Jeff Jenkins in left. Bobby Hughes the catcher, and Brad Woodall the pitcher bats 9th.
And the Pepsi defense for Jim Riggleman and the Cubs. Hill, Johnson, and Sosa left to right. Gaetti, Hernandez, Morandini, and Grace in the infield. A battery of Scott Service and Steve Trachsel looking for win number 15 in this his 30th start of the year. His control has been pretty good once again, as it's been the entire series. The wind is blowing straight out. It's 87, very humid, very muggy degrees at the ballpark. And on a day like today, much like the last 2 days, the hitters can't wait to get into the batter's box. And what the Cubs desperately need from Steve Trachsel is a long outing today. Save that bullpen heading into San Diego. They would love to get at least 7 innings if they could.
But this has been a very offensive-minded series. Milwaukee and the Cubs today could set the season high mark for runs in a 3-game series by 2 ball clubs, and that's certainly something Steve Trachsel hopes does not happen, and something else we'll keep an eye on. We'll see how he has been affected, if at all, by that history-making moment in St. Louis. He's the man that Mark McGwire got number 62 against.
Well, I never gave up that historic a home run, Chip, but I will tell you, from a pitcher's standpoint, whatever happened in St. Louis or any other time this season is completely by the boards today as Steve Trachsel goes to the mound. He has one thing in mind, and that is to take care of Fernando Vina at the top. After that, he'll worry about Loretta and Nielsen and on down the lineup. He certainly is worried that the wind is blowing out. He knows he's a fly ball pitcher. He also knows that his offense is revved up in high gear, and if he gives up 3 or 4 runs today, he knows he's probably going to win this one by a wide margin.
At least that's what you hope will happen as Fernando Vina stands in. The young second baseman hitting .310 with 7 homers. He's knocked in 42 on the year, and our first pitch is fouled out of play down the left side. 0-1. The umpiring crew, Tom Hallion behind the plate. Bob Davidson, the umpire at first. Keep an eye on him if there are base runners aboard. He calls a lot of balks. Then it's Brian Gorman and Jerry Crawford.
That's one thing Steve Trachsel will have to bear in mind. He had a balk call last time out, and he has Bob Davidson at first base, and he watches pitchers more closely than just about any first base umpire.
Fernando Vina swings and hits a looping fly ball into shallow left center field that the shortstop Jose Hernandez will grab. And the leadoff man is retired, Fernando Vina. That's always a good idea when you play this Milwaukee ball club.
Well, the best way to hold down a good base runner is to make sure that he's sitting on the bench when the next man comes to bat, and that's exactly what happened with Vina.
Here's Mark Loretta. He's got a 5-game hitting streak, 5 for 10 in the series. He's hitting .325, 5 home runs, 47 batted in. You really like this guy, Loretta.
I like him a lot because of his versatility, and he pretty much falls into the role of a Jose Hernandez for the Milwaukee Brewers. You can put him anywhere, and he gives you a solid effort.
And he takes a strike. And there's Sharon Panazzo, the fine director of media relations for the Cubs. Happy birthday to Sharon today.
I think, what is it, 26 today?
26 every year for Sharon. So many happy returns. She's done a wonderful job, both she and Chuck Wasserstrom, the entire PR staff, and what's been a tough year for PR people around baseball. They have handled everything with great ease here in 1998.
Jim Riggleman sitting on the bench with mixed emotions over yesterday's game. Early, he looked like a man who had lost his best friend. As the game moved along, he thought maybe they found his best friend. When the game was over, it was as if someone gave him a new dog. And so it was a day of mixed emotions. Jim Riggleman running the gamut of them yesterday, but his team came out on top. And thanks to the boys up north who have beaten the Mets 2 in a row, the Cubs have a 1-game lead in the wild card heading into action today.
And we hope that trend continues. 1-2, swung on, belted deep toward left. Glenallen Hill will wave goodbye to that one. Loretta hits a solo home run. His 6th of the year. Milwaukee jumps out quickly 1-0. And again, 1 run, 2 runs will not win this ball game. So Loretta trots around the bases very quickly, and the Brewers have struck first.
Only the 6th home run of the year, is 48th driven in for Mark Loretta. Steve Trachsel has now given up 23. He's 2nd on the staff in that department. Only Kevin Tapani has given up more, and Trachsel, who really doesn't throw a sinker, as most everything he throws winds up in the air. Not a good idea on a day with the wind blowing out, and the Cubs trail by 1.
So a 6-game hitting streak for Loretta. And Dave Nilsson, the batter. Nilsson has been catching more for Milwaukee now, but he's in the lineup because of his bat. He's been smoking. And they put Bobby Hughes behind the dish, and Nilsson at first today. Nilsson, the man from Australia. It's a high pop. That'll be caught by Gary Gaetti. A high sky today. It's tough on the infielders, and Nilsson retired 2 down.
And this becomes a very big out for Steve Trachsel. Granted, it's the 1st inning. Granted, there's nobody on. And it is Jeff Cirillo, who's a very good hitter. But the man on deck, Jeromy Burnitz, has more runs batted in than any left-hander in our league. And so you certainly would love to see him leading off the 2nd inning. And that'll all depend on Cirillo,
who has a .328 average, a 4-game hit streak himself. If you look at the top 4 hitters in this Milwaukee lineup, what they've done against Cub pitching this year, it's terrifying. Vina .382, Loretta .357, Nilsson .290, Cirillo .375 this year. And a lot of that damage, as we showed you earlier, coming in the first 2 games of the series. If form holds true, the Cubs will come back and win this ball game.
Who's cleaning up for Huber? Come from behind wins. The Astros, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Rockies, and the Padres, and that's who's cleaning up for Huber.
Outside evens the count.
The first 4 men in the lineup have accounted for 16 hits the last 2 games. That's one of the reasons for the inflated scores. If you can hold down the top of the lineup, you're usually in good shape.
Steve misses downstairs. 2 balls and a strike. Rod Beck got the win yesterday for the Cubs. What a crazy game that was. I have to admit, I was looking on with a little bit of envy as you and Wayne got to call the ball game. It was spectacular to see. A great job as always, fellas, and my thanks to Wayne for pinch hitting for me. Cirillo hits a high drive to right that sends Sammy back to the warning track. He's got enough room, and Cirillo is retired, and so are the Brewers, but they do score first on the solo home run from Loretta, and after a half inning, Brewers 1, the Cubs, and hopefully Sammy coming up. Milwaukee scores a single run in the top of the first. Now the Cubs line up this way. Our lineup brought to you, of course, by Pepsi. The Cubs at 83 and 66. Lance Johnson, Jose Hernandez, and Mr. Beanie Baby, Mark Grace, batting 3rd. Sammy Sosa looking for 61 or more today. Then Glenallen Hill, Gary Gaetti, who's swinging a red-hot bat. Mickey Morandini, Scott Service, and Steve Trachsel, the Cubs battery.
And the defense for Phil Garner and the Brewers: Jenkins, Grissom, and Burnitz. Left to right, Cirillo, Loretta, Vina, and Nielsen in the infield, and a battery of Bobby Hughes and Brad Woodall looking for his 8th win, and this is 19th start. He's not overpowering, has a good straight change, and one of the best things about him, he is a real good hitter.
In fact, he's a switch hitter. We'll see that a little later on as Lance Johnson takes the ball low. Woodall beat Trachsel and the Cubs June 16th, an 11-2 game. Woodall went 6 innings, 4 hits, gave up only 2 unearned runs to pick out that win. Lifetime very tough against the Cubs. 1-1 with an ERA of 1.65.
He's only given up 3 earned runs against the Cubs in 16 1/3 innings.
But there's the start. Lance Johnson singles to center.
That ERA will be put to the test today, as both of these offenses have been in high gear. This has not been the series to go to the mound.
Oh, man.
And Lance Johnson doing what he's done the second half of the year, and that is key this offense. He leads off with a base hit, and usually when Lance gets on at the top of the inning, the Cubs score at least one.
Woodall came out of the Atlanta organization. I guess in some ways you could make the comparison with a Tom Glavine-ish kind of guy. Wants to keep the ball away from hitters. Left-handers hit him better than right-handers. 286 for the left-handed batters. Jose Hernandez, a right-hand batter. So we'll see if he uses that changeup here. They want the ball down and away, and that's where they got it for strike one.
Well, I think, Chip, you hit it right on the head. Why the left-handers hit a certain left-hand pitcher better than the right-handers is most left-hand pitchers just don't throw the changeup to the left-hand hitters. They save it for the right-handers where it dies away from them. They get a lot of ground balls with it. But the left-handers, they try to use the slider, and many left-handers stay right with it.
That ball tried to pull by Jose. They try to turn the double play, and they do. Around the horn very quickly. Good takeout slide by Lance at second. And it's 5-4, 3 and out. That's the danger when you're battling a guy that changes up on you. If you try to pull the ball, you're going to hit a lot of easy ground ball outs.
These guys turn double plays as well as anybody and better than most. Good play by Vina. And he just barely gets off the throw. Watch Vina as Lance Johnson goes in hard. He upsets him, but he cannot disrupt the throw. And these guys, when they get a shot, they'll turn it.
Mark Grace takes a strike. It's 0-1. Grace with a 5-game hitting streak. Milwaukee 1, Cubs nothing in the bottom of the first inning. And a rocket shot hit to center field. Grissom on the run. He's got it. And the inning comes to a close. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left after 1. Brewers 1, Cubs nothing. Well, folks, if you happen to be at the ballpark and you didn't get a Beanie Baby, the folks you might want to ask are the folks wearing the red T-shirts today. Those are the fine folks from Tie Incorporated who are responsible for the Beanie Baby Day promotions, not only here in Chicago, but throughout Major League Baseball this year.
And another factor, Chip, we have to mention that John McDonough, the entire marketing crew, has done such a great job this year, and it was John McDonough and the marketing department that started the Beanie Baby Days that has become the craze all over the major leagues, and just about every day they have it, it's a packed house. So we have to congratulate them, and of course the folks from Ty and Ty Warner, the creator of Beanie Babies.
Now if we can only get that Arnie the Weasel Beanie Baby, we'll be in business.
I think next year we can look for weasels aplenty.
Here's Jeromy Burnitz. This guy has killed us in this series. As you mentioned, more RBIs than any other left-handed hitter in the National League this year. Burnitz with 118 of them, and he's hit 35 home runs.
We've seen 2 of them up close and personal, accounting for 5 runs in this series.
Swung on a bad ball there to even the count. 1-1 to Burnitz.
What's made him awfully tough is the fact that he's changed from a dead pull hitter to a guy that can hit the ball out of the park in left and left center field. We've seen both varieties in this series.
That misses downstairs. 2 balls and a strike. You mentioned John McDonough wants to send along his congratulations, as do we, to the Rockford Cubbies of the Class A Midwest League. They've advanced to their championship series. They play Monday and Tuesday in Rockford in the next round of the Midwestern League playoffs, so that's good news down on the farm.
You would think if Steve Trachsel could stay away with that forkball, he will retire Burnitz.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Base is empty, nobody out. Swung on, hit high in the air, but I think he got under it. Maybe. Sammy drifting back at the edge of the track. He's got it. 1 away.
Well, we talked about the adeptness at which the Milwaukee team turns double plays. That double play last inning was number 180, and they lead the National League in that department. Only Colorado is close with 176.
And that turn by Vina was almost Brett Boone-like. He really got rid of the ball in pretty good shape. So 1 away from Marquise Grissom. And the breaking ball from Steve is over for a strike.
Every out has been in the air. And Steve Trachsel would like to start throwing a few ground balls. There's the fastball outside.
Too far outside. Greg Maddux was flirting with a perfect game for Atlanta. He's got a one-hit shutout working against the Marlins today. Braves won 4-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1-1 skied out of play down the right side.
With this offensive onslaught in this series, the Cubs have catapulted to 5th in the league offensively. They trail only Colorado, Houston, San Francisco, and Atlanta with a .266 batting average. And when you look at home runs, that's how this team has made their living this year, and they're 3rd in the league in that department.
So the hitters are definitely peaking at the right time. Now if we can get the pitching straightened out, we should be in business on a gorgeous September afternoon in Chicago. The 2-2 pulled to the left side. There's one of those ground balls, and Gaetti gloves it and guns him out. 2 down. Grissom retired, and here's Jeff Jenkins. Speaking of no-hitters, Andy Bennis has one for the Arizona Diamondbacks through 5 in Cincinnati. So we'll keep you posted on that, as well as the Mets Montreal score. They're 0-0 in the 4th.
With the left field camera, we'll concentrate on Gary Gaetti, a very dependable third baseman. He knows he has plenty of time, and he gets it over there with room to spare.
Here's Jenkins, a .239 hitter. And he looks at a strike. If I'm not mistaken, Stoney, while we're playing the Padres, the Mets will be playing Houston. Is that correct?
They will indeed. In fact, they're playing a 4-game series highlighted by a doubleheader on the middle day. A scheduled doubleheader, which is most unusual. The only bad part about that series is because Randy Johnson threw yesterday, he will not throw against the New York Mets. And that's good news for the Mets and not particularly good news for us.
And that kid must be a relative of Arnie Harris if he has more than one Beanie Baby in his briefcase. Yeah. 2 balls and a strike. Jeff Jenkins stands in. Here's the delivery. It's low. And if you're ever in Chicago and you need a pen and you see Arnie Harris, he'll have him, folks. He is the guy.
Be careful on this 3-1 pitch. Jenkins has shown us that he has pretty good power.
Fouled it back. Good matchup on that delivery. 3-2 now.
Phil Garner, who's a man under some pressure in Milwaukee. He was originally given a vote of confidence by Sal Bando, the general manager. That was rescinded about a week later. But he is a quality manager and has been from the time he put on that uniform.
Ground ball left side. Yeah, if Milwaukee and their management decides that Phil Garner's not the guy to lead their team, I'm sure there are a lot of other ball clubs and organizations that would say he'll do just fine for us.
Scrap Iron is the nickname. He was just a terrific player, a real hard-nosed second baseman on those very good Oakland and later Pittsburgh Pirate teams.
3-2 ground ball right side. Easy hop for Grace. He'll flip to the pitcher. Inning over. 3 up, 3 down. Here comes Sammy in the bottom half of the second. 1-0 Milwaukee. Here comes Sammy Sosa in a 1-0 ball game. He cracked number 60 yesterday, and the big crowd here wants to see history made once again.
Sammy 0 for 5 lifetime against Woodall, but he's hit a lot of guys this year that he's never hit before. And there is the house, and that's where number 60 wound up, right in front of that door.
And he takes a ball low from Woodall. 1 ball, no strikes.
The advantage for Sammy against Woodall is he doesn't necessarily have to try to pull him to get it out. He can also hit it out in right and right center.
Inside that time, 2-0. Sosa's hit 8 home runs against the Phillies. He's hit 8 home runs against Milwaukee.
And yesterday they walked him the first 2 times up.
Outside, 3-0.
Think he has a 3-0 green light?
Yes.
Getting good shots of Glenn Allen Hill in the on-deck circle. Oh, check that. I guess they're shooting Sammy. And everybody standing up all around the ballpark.
Amazing
to see this at bat.
The 3-0. Oh, what a cut he had. 3-1. Those are MVP kind of numbers, folks. And Mark McGwire of the Cardinals with 62. Sammy with 60. The race is tightening up with 2 weeks to go. Here comes the 3-1. Swung, and he belted it down the left field line, but well fouled and out of play.
And that one had more than enough distance, unfortunately, and less than enough direction. And they even want that foul ball that's down by the firehouse. It was pulled so far.
I hope the Dalmatian got it. The 3-2. Off speed, hit high in the air into right field. That'll be caught by Jeromy Burnitz. He battles the sun and puts it away for out number 1. But Sammy got some good hacks here in his first at bat, and here's a look at yesterday's monumental 60th homer. No doubt about that one. And again, you think about the names that Sammy Sosa joins with that 60 home run total. It really is incredible. And after he hit his home run, Glenn Allen Hill hit one as well. And this guy, Stoney, just keeps on blistering the baseball. He's hitting .481 during a 6-game hitting streak.
Yesterday, they managed to get him out only one time, and that was on a long fly ball to right field. He had 3 singles and a homer, and he scored 4 runs.
He'll take that every time. A high blooping pop down the right side. Nilsson in foul ground. Diving try by Vina. He couldn't handle it. And Hill has charged his second strike.
I know there's a lot of people that will debate the MVP this year, but when we look around at the offensive statistics, Sammy 2 behind Big Mac in home runs. He leads over Vinny Castilla by 9 in runs batted in with 145. Multi-hit games, he's second behind Bichette with 60. Total bases, he leads Castilla by 22 with 382. With hits, Sammy is 6th in the league. It's been just a remarkable season for Sammy Sosa.
Hill slaps that ball into right at Burnitz. And there are 2 men out.
Oh, and by the way, one of the real important stats, runs scored. Sammy Sosa is tied with Biggio at 120 runs scored for the National League lead. He's right behind McGwire in slugging percentage. He's 3rd in extra base hits. And when you look up and down the offensive categories, you would have to say, although it's been a remarkable year for Mark McGwire, nobody can argue that, Sammy Sosa is the MVP.
Gaetti hits a ground ball to 3rd that Cirillo will handle. Very easy inning for Woodall in the 2nd. He's faced the minimum through 2, and he's got a 1-0 lead. No score after, or excuse me, 1-0 is our score after 2 innings of play here at Wrigley Field. And friends, mark your calendars now for the 14th annual Cubs convention. Join the 1998 Cubs players along with your favorite Cubs from the past. This fan favorite will take place at the Chicago Hilton Towers from January 15th through the 17th, 1999. For reservations, call 312-922-4400, or for more information, dial 773-404 Cubs.
You have to be careful with Bobby Hughes, especially middle in. This young man has a tremendous amount of power. He hit one onto Waveland Avenue yesterday that went a long way in that huge 8-run 3rd. The 3rd inning has been a big problem in this series. 6 runs the first game, 8 runs yesterday for Milwaukee.
So let's see if Steve can settle him down here in the 3rd inning of game 3 as Hughes swings and misses for strike 1. He's hitting .239, 8 homers and 27 batted in. This man is very, very strong. Oh, and 2.
Dave Stevens went 3 2/3 innings yesterday, gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, but he picked it up from Mike Morgan, turned it over to Felix Heredia, who got it to Terry Mulholland, and eventually Rod Beck with 1/3 of an inning in the win.
I got to ask you, were you getting nervous? Did you think the bullpen phone was going to ring upstairs here last time out?
Wasn't so much yesterday, but the day before, when they were running out of pitchers, it was getting a little tense.
1 and 2. It's out of play. Well, teams go through streaks, both good and bad. Right now, the Cubs fortunate in that their offense is just crushing everything in sight. But the pitching's down, and when you lose Caray Wood, that doesn't help. Mark Clark, Kevin Tapani have pitched very well. Hopefully Trachsel can do it today, and the Cubs have a decision to make as we head out to San Diego as to who the 5th starter will be against San Diego.
Jim Riggleman said that he would take a look at some of the matchups on the flight out to San Diego. Quite obviously, we have a lot of time to do that. And I'm kind of thinking that he might be leaning toward Terry Mulholland with the addition of Chris Haney, another left-hander who can both start and relieve.
1-2.
Kind of happy that decision lies, however, with Jim Riggleman. And that's the newest Cub, Chris Haney, acquired from the Royals for cash. Now, he wasn't entirely healthy this season. That accounts for the high ERA, but talking with Phil Regan, he said he's healthy now, and he was a pretty good pitcher at one point. And you know, you can't have too many left-handers, and the Cubs just added another one, so hopefully he can put together a pretty good streak. Terry Mulholland has had a pretty good streak. It's lasted all year.
3-2, a ripped foul past third. Yeah, it's one of those deals you don't hear too often anymore. Cash considerations. But if Haney can come in and pitch well during the final 2 weeks of the season, whatever the Cubs spent, it would be money very well spent. And obviously would give the team another option as we look ahead to 1999 as well. 3-2. Rifle shot back up the middle. Well, Trachsel got ahead of Hughes 0-2, then nibbled. Hughes fought off a couple of balls and then hit a rocket right back into center field.
What I like, Chip, is the fact that even though the trading deadline has passed, and this one whizzes past Steve Trachsel, Ed Lynch and Andy MacPhail have not rested on what the team had at any given time. They've taken a look to see who was out there, to see who they could acquire. Gary Gaetti became a Cub. Orlando Merced, who's played a big part in a couple of ball games, became a Cub.
Glenn Allen Hill
earlier in the season off the waiver wires became a Cub. So they've continued to add to this team, and they've added guys who have come through in a big way in key situations. And so this continues to be a team in transition, even during the season, even after a very good year.
Woodall shows bunt, bunts it hard back to Grace. He bobbled it, and he'll have only one play now. Boy, he had a great shot at getting Hughes at second, but the ball appeared to run up his arm, and the sacrifice is successful.
I think we're better off seeing Woodall bunt than letting him swing away. He was 3 for 3 the last time he pitched against the Cubs. This bunt is too hard. They would have had a good shot at Hughes, but instead they get the one out at first, and now we move to the top with Vina, who's been absolutely a pest in this series.
He's 5 for 8 is Vina. Popped out to the shortstop his first time up.
He's scored 4 runs. He's driven in 4 runs.
This little guy's bounced around a lot in his big league career, with the Mets, with the Mariners, now with Milwaukee. And you'll remember that forearm shiver that Albert Bell delivered on the ball field a couple of years ago. Well, it was Fernando Vina that took the brunt of that blast. But he is a tough cookie at second base.
Well, apparently it didn't shake him up, because after hitting .275 last year, he's hitting .310 heading into today's play. And he will spray the ball all over, so you can't really defense him any one way.
1 ball, no strikes. Trachsel down a run. The pitch pulled toward first and through Grace into right field. Sammy comes charging. They're going to wave Hughes. Sammy up, and now they're going to send him back to third. Vina takes second. That ball hit right at Grace. It was hit hard, but he couldn't get the glove completely down, and now the Brewers are in business.
Kind of surprising they wouldn't try to score with Hughes, although he doesn't run very well. This ball was slowed down by Mark Grace, and it just went right through him. So we'll wait for the resolution on this particular call, and they're giving him a double. And so now you have to face a very tough Mark Loretta with runners at second and third.
And how tough is he? Well, he is 6 out of 11 during a 5-game hitting streak, and homered his first time up.
I would think in a situation where you figure to score some runs on a very lively day in Chicago, you'd play the middle infield back you'll concede the run to get the out. Now Mark Grace will be in at first base, and he might be tempted to come home on anything his way. And if it hits hard enough to Gary Gaetti, he's going to try to freeze Hughes, who doesn't have particularly good speed, before going to first.
So Mark Grace, who had 2 plays that normally he would make, did not. Now Trachsel has to work around the mess. And he fires with the first pitch downstairs.
I know one thing you don't want to do is put Loretta aboard, because Nielsen, with the bases loaded throughout his career, has been just deadly. He's hit once with the bases loaded. That was yesterday in the 3rd, and he had a 3-run triple.
The 1-0. He's outside. 2 balls, no strikes. By the way, Andy Bennis has his no-hitter through 6 in Cincinnati for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's a 2-0 game. The Mets and the Expos are scoreless in the bottom of the 5th. The Giants play Colorado later on. Here it's 1-0 Milwaukee. The 2-0. High drive toward right. That'll send Sammy drifting back. Hughes is going to catch. Sammy makes the grab. He's bringing it home. The throw is up the line. Runner to third. Sacrifice fly RBI from Loretta. It's 2-0. Vigna to third with 2 outs now.
RBI number 49, as Loretta has driven in both of the Brewer runs today.
You could see Sammy trying to load up to make the catch with the catcher running in from third, but the ball sailed off the third base line and allowed Vigna to take the extra base on the throw homeward. So anything in the dirt now, Service has to knock down, for that could mean the 3rd Milwaukee run. Nilsson popped out to Gary Gaetti his first time. And he looks at a strike. 0-1 the count. 2-0 Milwaukee. Let's pause for station identification here in the top of the
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
With Steve Stone, Chip Caray, and our entire WGN crew from Wrigley Field in Chicago. Brewers have scored first again. 0-2 from Trax.
And Steve Trachsel has 3 wild pitches. And he might try to go low and out of the zone, so the pressure on Scott Service. I would suggest a fastball face high. Try to throw it by Nielsen. He might be expanding his strike zone with another run just 90 feet away.
Scott Service with the signs now. Steve to the belt in the 0-2. Bouncing ball hit weakly towards second. Mickey handles a funny hop and throws out. The Milwaukee first baseman, but not before they score a run on a couple of hits. After 2.5. Brew Crew 2. Cubs nothing. Well, Sammy Sosa is going to get several chances to hit some of the bullseyes in the bleachers today. And hopefully it'll come with a couple of runners on, as Milwaukee's jumped in front by a couple here as we head to the home half of the 3rd. Mickey Morandini takes a quick strike. It's 0-1. Mickey hitting .301, and he's hitting a little better than that with a solid single into right field. He's closing in now on a big-time milestone. He's approaching his 1,000th major league hit.
And it's not surprising that the 2 guys in this lineup who have the base hits are the left-handers. Johnson and Morandini, and Mark Grace hit a rocket of a line drive to end the first inning. So the left-handers getting much better swings than the right-handers early against Brad Woodall.
Mickey needs 6 hits for 1,000 now as he leads from first for Scott Service. And again, Jim Riggleman really has gone to a straight platoon behind the plate, with Service hitting against left-handers, Tyler Houston against the right-handers, and it's really served both men in uniform very well.
Woodall was a good addition to this ball club. He came to camp as a non-roster player. He was signed as a free agent last December. And with that invitation to camp, he made the ball club. Not exactly an overnight success. He started back in 1991 in the Braves organization.
Off the end of Scott's bat, foul, 1-1.
Woodall had a chance to get to Atlanta in '94, in '95, again in '96, but came into this season with just a 3-4 record and a 6.50 ERA in the National League. And he has established himself as a pretty competent left-handed starter. And there's a look at him.
We remind you a lot of Tom Glavine. The 1-1. Very similar pitching style, but until this guy wins a Cy Young or two, he's not going to be in Tom Glavine's class. But he's been tough on the Cubs. Tip your cap to him. 2 balls and a strike now.
Well, they're close to the same size, 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. The startling difference, obviously, is at the bank.
Yes. They'll never be mistaken there, I would imagine. 2-1. Runner goes. Line drive, left field, base hit. Mickey around second. Big turn. He's going to try. Jenkins won't have a play. First and third. Nobody out. The hit and run executed perfectly.
Scott Service has hit the left-handers very well, and in the platoon system, it allows both counterparts, Houston and Service, to do what they do best. And they both have blossomed. So on the hit and run, Scott Service, who might be as good as anybody on this team in a hit and run situation, puts runners at the corners with nobody out. And the Cubs trying to fight their way back as they've done this entire series. This is not necessarily a straight bunt situation with Steve Trachsel, who is an outstanding hitter. He's hitting .250 coming in. Yes, he does have 8 bunts. But when you move in at third, if you're Jeff Cirillo, you have to pay close attention to Trachsel. And if he doesn't square around, you might be looking at a baseball sandwich for breakfast.
I don't think those would taste very good.
No.
So Steve is the hitter. He's got 6 driven in. No sign of a bunt. Line left field, base hit. Mickey will score. Service round second. He's on his way to third. Trachsel chugging into second. He'll slide in with a double, and it's 2-1.
That one rifled right over the head of Jeff Cirillo, and fortunately for him, it was hit high enough where he didn't come into play. So Trachsel, who's been doing it all year, drives in his 7th run. The Cubs trail by a run. And on a first ball fastball with Cirillo in very close at third, Trachsel rifles a double. And the Cubs right back in the middle of it again.
It's a 2-1 game, and now we turn the order over to Lance Johnson, who has singled already in the game. Boy, a guy like Woodall, you got to try to hit the ball where it's pitched. That time Steve got something he could pull and drive, and he ripped it down the left field line for his 3rd double. Now Lance, who went the opposite way his first time up, a chance to score 1 for sure and maybe 2. 2-1. Milwaukee has the lead now. We're in the Cubs half of the 3rd, and still nobody out. They're in at the corners. The pitch low, ball 1.
We've seen Lance Johnson bunt home a run in this series, executing the suicide perfectly with another left-hander on the mound. But I would think with the success of left-hand hitters against Woodall, they would let him swing away.
Snap throw back toward third. It hits Service right in the back, but he can't advance.
Good thing that hit him, because that would have been a very close play at third. And Scott cannot avoid the baseball, and it doesn't matter where he is. He gets hit when he's hitting, he gets hit when he's catching, and now he gets hit when he's base running. And if Cirillo catches that ball, Service is out.
So that's a bruise he's happy to take. Lance Johnson now in the driver's seat. 2 balls, no strikes. Woodall comes set. The runners lead. Here it is. Good cut. Waited on it. And it's fouled back. Greg Maddux had to leave that game in Atlanta. He was leading the game 1-0, I believe, when he led. In any event, he left with a strained muscle under his left armpit. So it's been a tough year for Maddux since the All-Star break. But 2-1. Pulled down the right side and out of play. Odalis Perez took over for him in the Atlanta game. Faced 4 men. 2 singles, 1 double, 1 homer, and 4 runs.
That's not good.
That's not real good. We've seen enough of that up here the last couple of days from both teams. The 2-2 to Lance. Took a shot at left field. That's always a good idea, and count stays 2-2.
Burnitz with a very good arm in right field. Jenkins, a better than average arm for a left fielder. And Grissom also throws the ball well, so without great speed at third, it'll be interesting on a medium depth fly ball. They're conceding the run in the middle infield, however.
The 2-2. Off speed, a little looping fly ball hitting to shallow right. I don't think that's going to be deep enough to get it done. Burnitz the catch. Service will come halfway. The throw up the line, and he would have been a dead duck. 1 away.
And that's the wrong guy to hit it to if you're trying to score a run. Burnitz has a great arm.
So Woodall works around 1 man, but now he's got to face the right-hander Jose Hernandez, who hit the ball into a double play his first time up in the first. The Cubs have scored a run. It's 2-1 here in the third. Still no score in Montreal. Mets nothing, Expos nothing, bottom of the 5th. The Cubs lead the Mets by a game in the wild card. And after today's play, we head to beautiful San Diego for 4. The off speed is in there for a strike. I would imagine, Stoney, this is the kind of pitcher that would really frustrate the Cubs, who have all year long been a great fastball hitting team. You kind of squeeze the sawdust out of the bat waiting for this guy to throw you a fastball, and then he almost never does. He did that time, and it costs him the lead. Base hit in left field for Jose Hernandez. Ties the game 2-2.
RBI number 73 for Jose. 22 home runs, 73 driven in. And it continues to be just an exceptional year for Jose Hernandez. Now Don Rowe out to the mound, as he has done so many times in this series. His service ties it up. Runners at the corners, only 1 out, and the bullpen now up and going. And it looks like Bronson Patrick.
Yeah, I'd rather not see him. If I remember correctly, he threw the ball like Cy Young against us when we saw him both here in Chicago and up in Milwaukee.
Bronswell Patrick, he threw the ball very well against us in kind of an emergency relief role, and pitched 5 1/3 or 5 2/3 innings in relief, and pitched a gem against the Cubs right here.
So Mark Grace now a chance to put the Cubs in front. 4 hits in the inning, have scored 2 runs. Hernandez at first, Steve Trachsel at third, and Mark Grace, who flied to center, is the Cub hitter. It's 2-2, 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Woodall sets and fires. Popped up toward us. And well out of reach. It's 0-1. The Cubs today going for their 84th win of the year. Amazingly, since 1972, the Cubs have won 84 games or more 3 times in a single season. The 0-1. Swung, hit hard. Vina can't handle it. It's in the right field. Trachsel scores. Jose around second. He's on his way to third. Burnitz bobbled the ball. Grace slides in under the tag. And the Cubs have the lead.
Mark Grace with a double. He drives home run number 82. The Cubs have put 3 on the board in the 3rd. And now with first base open, do you pitch to Sammy Sosa? As Mark Grace hits this ball awfully hard. If Vina comes up with it, it's 2. Instead it was 2, but the 2 was a double. And Mark Grace with an upending slide at second base on some daring base running.
So here is Sosa. They'll pitch to him. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. Cubs 3, Milwaukee 2. 5 hits in the inning. now Hughes wants to talk it over. Grace now, by the way, with a 6-game hitting streak. It's arena baseball here in Wrigley Field the last 3 days. No balls, 1 strike. In the dirt. You won't fool him with that pitch, and Sammy wants to have a look at it. 1-1.
Woodall has 3 wild pitches, so the pressure falls to Hughes to knock anything down. It's Tom Gamboa talking with Jose Hernandez, telling him to make sure the line drive goes through. But on a ground ball, he's coming home. Infield back.
The 1-1. Inside. 2 balls and a strike. Well, for now, Mark McGwire is the single-season home run king. Do not be shocked if Sammy Sosa catches or passes him here in '98. The stretch. The 2-1. Nowhere near. 3 balls and a strike. And now they'll go ahead and put him on.
I was kind of surprised they threw 4 pitches even close to Sammy with first base open.
And really, when you see Sosa take the free pass, that's what makes McGwire's year so spectacular. He's walked, I think, 140 times already, 26, 27 times intentionally for that St. Louis ball club. Almost twice as many walks as Sammy, if not more than
He's actually walked 152 times.
152, I beg your pardon.
That's somewhat astounding. And that will be it for Brad Woodall, as Bronswell Patrick will come in to face this predominantly right-handed Cub lineup.
So Woodall is exiled after 2 innings and a third. 3 runs belong to him, all of them in the third. He leaves with the bases loaded, and it's Bronswell Patrick against Glenn Allen Hill here at a raucous Wrigley Field. Well, it's not a pinch hitting role for Glenn Allen Hill here today, but he takes a look at a new pitcher, right-hander Bronswell Patrick, with the bases loaded.
Patrick comes into this one at 4-1, ERA 4.81, on for the 30th time. He's made 3 starts. He has given up 8 home runs in 73 innings. And there's no place to put Glenn Allen Hill, who is a very hard man to double.
The Cubs already have the lead by a run, 3-2. How much more will we get? The pitch. Oh, weak ground ball, foul, out of play. Patrick last pitched on Tuesday. He went a third of an inning, gave up 4 runs on 2 hits, walked 2 men, and left the game with a stiff lower back. We'll see how he fares today. The 0-1 is a slider low.
Glenn Allen Hill has grounded into exactly 1 double play in 104 at bats. So he can get down the line from the right side just about as well as anyone in this league.
1 ball, 1 strike. Kind of surprised that Seattle let this guy go. No, he's never going to win you a Gold Glove defensively, but he hasn't really played all that badly for the Cubs in the left field pasture. 1-1. Here it is. Ground ball hit foul over Jose Hernandez's head. Down the left field line, the count moves to 1-2. Boy, if Sammy hits number 61, I wonder if anybody will be firing the Beanie Babies on the field in celebration. Or if Glenn Allen could hit a grand slam here. The 1-2. He ducks under that ball. 2-2.
I think they'll be firing a few things on the field, none of which will be the Beanie Babies.
The 2-2 pitch. He laid off. 3-2. So now the pitch of decision coming from Patrick. You've got Gary Gaetti waiting on deck. The runners lead now. The 3-2. Swung, pulled off the glove of Cirillo at third. Everybody's safe and a run is in. That ball hit like a rocket. Hill drives home another. It's 4-2.
RBI number 20 for Glenn Allen Hill, who's played in 38 games as a Cub. And he hit this ball just about as hard as you can hit it. And in self-defense, Cirillo is able to knock it down, keep it out of left field, stop one run from scoring, but the bases stay loaded.
So it's 4-2 as Jose scampers home. All these runs belong to Woodall. The Patrick Senton delivery. Swung, bouncing ball up the middle, base hit. One run scores. Here comes Sammy around third. There'll be no play. A two-run scoring single. It's 6-2.
64 runs batted in for Gary Gaetti. As a Cub, he's driven in 21. And this is his 24th game since putting on a Cub uniform. 21 runs batted in just 24 games. And the Cubs have matched what the Brewers usually do in the third inning. They put a 6 spot on the board.
Yeah, it's about time. The Cubs have batted around. Mickey Morandini greeted Woodall with a single. He's now the 10th man to bat. First and second, one out. 6 runs have scored at 6-2. Bronswell Patrick. Slider misses inside. It's 1-0. They're not ready to throw in the towel quite yet. The wind is blowing out. But the Cubs have put a 6 spot on the board. The pitch. Line toward left. Jenkins on the run. He battles it and makes the grab for the second out, and Hill just does get back to second in time. So Scott Service, the batter.
And how about the 2 additions from the right side of Glenn Allen Hill and Gary Gaetti? Well, what have they meant to this team? Great in-season additions. And they changed the character of this team against left-handed pitching. The Cub catchers in this series have been dynamite.
Service swings at the first ball, flies it into center field where Marquise Grissom camps out. He's under it, he's got it, and the inning is over, but the Cubs score 6 times and erase a 2-0 hole. On to the 4th we go at 6-2. The Cubs score 6 times on 7 hits in their half of the third. And now to the top of the 4th we go. It's a 6-2 ball game. And as we showed you earlier, the Cubs and Brewers, as we expected would happen today. Well, Stoney, it has happened. Most runs for both teams in a 3-game series this year.
And there's still a long way to go in this one. And with the wind blowing out, as we've seen, anything can happen. So Steve Trachsel, who was a big part of that huge inning, has got to batten down the hatches against an explosive offensive team, and he's got to go right through the middle of a very potent order.
Cirillo, Burnitz, and Marquise Grissom, all of whom are 0 for 1 today. And as Cirillo stands in, we want to send along greetings to Airman Basic Tim Van Vranken and the crew from Lackland Air Force Base watching the game today in Texas. Tim, your dad, and the rest of the security staff here at Wrigley Field are thinking about you today, as the Cubs and Brewers do battle for the 3rd and final time here at Wrigley Field. We have 2 more games with the Brewers up in Milwaukee. Cirillo 0 for 1, fly to right his first time, and looks at a Trachsel strike 0-1. Marlins pounding Atlanta 6-2. Greg Maddux left with a strained muscle under his left armpit in that game. Andy Bennis has a no-hitter through 7 for Arizona as they lead Cincinnati 5-0. 0-2 to Cirillo. Montreal and the Mets in a great game at Olympic Stadium. 0-0 in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Think of how many teams, Chip, who have been around a long time, namely and principally the New York Mets and San Diego Padres, have never had a no-hitter in their existence. And Andy Bennis on the verge of doing it in the first year for the Diamondbacks.
And what's really so incredible about the Mets, you think about the quality of pitching they've had there. 0-2. What do you think about Matlack, about Kuzman, about Tom Seaver,
Dwight
Gooden, David Cohn? On and on and on the list goes, but no New York Met no-hitters.
We saw one go by the boards right here with Jungle Joe Wallace. 2 outs in the 9th inning.
1-2 to Cirillo.
It was a most amazing way to lose a no-hitter. Tom Seaver threw 2 fastballs right by him, and Joe swung literally when the ball was in the catcher's glove. And for whatever reason, Tom decided to go with the slider. It wound up in right field. And destiny, at least for the moment, was denied him.
I think he wishes he had that pitch to do over again.
Well, he later did throw a no-hitter, but he was with Cincinnati at the time.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Cirillo. Full count now, 3-2. Steve was ahead of him, 0-2. Now nibbles into a full count.
Jimmy Qualls was another guy that broke up a Seaver no-hitter in the 9th inning.
Cirillo stands back in. On a windy day, you don't want to walk men. That won't leave the ballpark because Grace will handle the easy pop-up. In fair ground, he battles the sun, puts it away, 1 down. A lot of pop-up outs and flyouts in this game for Trachsel. On a windy, blustery day, 88 degrees. Here on Chicago's north side, a gorgeous, sunshiny day. And we'll be back to play the Reds later on next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the final 3 home games of the year until the playoffs.
And we've said it from the beginning, if the Cubs are going to make the postseason, it will be on the road. And that's exactly what has to happen for the Cubs. A couple of very tough series, before with San Diego, and the finale 3 with Houston, as well as 2 with these same Brewers.
0-1 to Jeromy Burnitz. It's a ball and a strike. Pitching matchups are set in San Diego. Monday night, Mark Clark against Sterling Hitchcock. Tuesday, Kevin Tapani, Kevin Brown. That'll be a great game. 2 18-game winners. Both of those games will be on WGN, by the way. Wednesday on CLTV, the Cubs have yet to name their starter. It'll be Joey Hamilton for San Diego. And then Thursday, Mike Morgan slated to start against Stan Spencer. Then it's back home for the Reds Friday. The 2-1 to Burnitz. 3 balls and a strike now.
After Jeromy Burnitz hits, I'll give you some sort of an idea about guys that Sammy will and might see in San Diego and what he's done against them. Give you an idea of how his chances will be in San Diego.
Foul back, 3-2.
Kevin Brown hitting .263, but he's hit a couple of home runs. Andy Ashby, a maybe. He's hit .444 with 2 home runs. Joey Hamilton, .382 with 3 home runs. Scott Sanders, .375 with a home run, and Donnie Wall, .222 with 2 home runs. Sammy loves sinker ballers.
That ball popped out of play by Burnitz. How about Hitchcock?
He has not fared very well against Sterling Hitchcock.
I'm sorry I brought it up then.
But that is the one man on that staff that has given him some trouble.
One guy we won't be seeing is Tony Gwynn. He's still hurt for the San Diego Ball Club, and for the Cubs who are trying to make it to the postseason, that can do nothing but help the Cubs. It's not going to be easy, but he's a superstar. Burnitz making his bid to become one as well. He hit a long bomb out of this ballpark. His 36th home run of the year makes it a 6-3 game.
Unfortunately, you face Burnitz with nobody on, and when he hits the obligatory home run, as he's done once in every game, this was his first solo shot. He's driven in 119 with bomb number 36. Second of the day against Steve Trachsel. Fortunately, they've both been solo homers, as Trachsel gets one down and away from Burnitz, and he unloads on it.
So it's a 3-run game now, and Marquise Grissom, the batter, with 1 in and 1 out. Marquise grounded to third, and he's behind in the count. No balls and a strike. Well, the Padres, they have clinched the Western Division crown. The Astros, if they win tonight, will clinch the Central Division. Wild card still up for grabs. And Marquise Grissom, with a looping liner into center field, has the 2nd straight Milwaukee hit. And now Jeff Jenkins can tie the game if he beg your pardon, he could help bring the tying run to the plate if he could reach here for Milwaukee. He grounded out to first with the pitcher covering his first time up. Long way to go in this ball game. The wind blows out. It's like being in Fenway Park. No lead is safe. And Trachsel, a fly ball pitcher, has given up a lot of those in this game so far. 2 of them have left the ballpark. One by Loretta, one by Burnitz.
Jenkins has tried to pull most everything. And Jim Lefevre, the new hitting instructor, would like to see him go to left and left center field a little bit more. This young man has very good power.
Bouncing ball. Grace steps on the bag at first. He'll flip to second. Not in time. Grissom almost came off the bag. Good play by Grace at first that time. 2 down.
Well, that's twice that Jenkins has tried to pull it, and then he's fairly easy to retire if he does that. The bullpen up and going for the first time today for the Cubs. And here's Mark Grace going toward the bag. He takes the one sure out, makes a good throw, but no chance to get Grissom, who decided not to pop off the bag.
And there's Jim Lefevre, the former Cub manager, now the hitting coach with Milwaukee, as Stoney just told you. And there's a look at the newest Cub, Chris Haney, just off the plane and into uniform and up in the bullpen.
Well, you got Bronswell Patrick in the on-deck circle, but he's a pretty good hitting pitcher.
Let's worry about him in the 5th and get Hughes, who's 1 for 1. Grissom with good speed at second base now, and a quick strike from Steve.
Well, the fact that Haney is throwing in the bullpen might answer the question about the start on Wednesday. That might fall to Terry Mulholland.
Has been magnificent in his starting assignments this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Trachsel approaching 60 pitches in the game. We're in the 4th. He's got a 6-3 lead. Hughes with prodigious power. A very dangerous hitter. Outside, 2-1. They're in the 8th now in Montreal. Mets nothing. Expos nothing. Cubs pulling for Montreal in that one. Maybe Vladimir Guerrero can smack another home run.
He's going to wind up probably with over 40 home runs. I think he hit his 37th last night.
He's so good it's scary. The 2-1 is upstairs. 3 balls and a strike.
Well, you know, Trachsel is being careful, and well, he should with Hughes. But Patrick has a home run this year, and he's hitting .214.
And the other big baseball note, Andy Bennett is through 8 with his no-hitter.
I'm rooting for him. I hope that he completes it. It'll be a great thrill.
The 3-1. High pop. It's into the seats. Well, you know our buddy Tom Brenneman, Bob Brenly, and the gang with the Diamondbacks probably going berserk in Cincinnati. If I'm not mistaken, this is Tommy Brenneman's birthday weekend, by the way.
See, about 45, 46?
Easily. And if so, happy birthday, Tommy, and what a way to celebrate if Arizona could polish off the Reds in his hometown. 3 balls, 2 strikes, runner at second, 2 outs, Cubs 6, Brewers 3. Got him swinging, getting over. 1 run, 2 hits, 1 left. Trachsel made a big pitch there, and he has a 6-3 lead. On to the bottom of the 4th we go. Cubs have a 3-run lead, and it's great to see you Cubs fans here at the ballpark, and it's that time again. Time for the Cubs to say a very big thank you for all of your great support this year. Fans attending the games on Friday, September 18th through Sunday, September 20th get a chance to win one of many great prize packages on Fan Appreciation Weekend. You can win with a lucky ticket number drawing or stop by the Cubs administrative offices here at Wrigley Field for a free entry form. Cubs have a shot at drawing 2.5 million fans this year. That's awesome. Here's Trachsel. An RBI double his first time, and he looks at a strike. Cubs have a 6-3 lead on getaway day. 0-2.
It's usually what happens after a pitcher gets a first ball fastball and hits it as hard as Trachsel did last inning. He started out with a couple of breaking balls. Usually turns into a completely different at bat.
One ball, two strikes. How the Bears doing today?
It's close, but they're losing.
17-12, 9 minutes to play. The 1-2. Ground ball hit to the right side. Nilsson will scoop it up, step on the bag. How'd the Librarians do yesterday?
The Fighting Kent State Librarians?
Yes, indeed. Are there any others?
Well, they came in second, but it was a hard-fought game. I think they lost 24-10.
Well, that's not bad. A valiant effort. And our additional WGN telecasts on the schedule, as you see, 2 in San Diego and the 2 in Milwaukee. Easy play again for Nilsson at first. 2 down. Well, I don't want to crow, but my University of Georgia battling Bulldogs went into Columbia, South Carolina, and humiliated the Gamecocks once again, 17-3.
I believe that you picked up a lunch from Mr. Lynch, who is
That I did.
a graduate of South Carolina.
Well, we don't know that he's a graduate. We know he attended.
Probably felt that his spunky band would come out on top. But Virgil Carter had other ideas.
Yes, indeed. They ended up like so many of Colonel Sanders' chickens when they battled my Bulldogs, who are off to a roaring 2-0 start. We'll keep you posted on that the rest of the season, by the way. I know there are a lot of Georgia Bulldog fans who watch Cubs baseball. Here's Jose Hernandez. He's 1 out of 2.
When did they start playing teams that play 11 guys instead of 9?
Well, I knew that was coming. Well, there's only one real football conference, and that's, of course, the Southeastern Conference. Anybody who's ever seen a game down there will know that. I know I'm going to get a lot of mail on that, but that's okay. 0-2 is the count. Michigan got crushed yesterday. Notre Dame got buried yesterday. Yikes. Florida State lost to NC State.
How about my Buckeyes? How'd they do?
They looked pretty good. Jose Hernandez didn't look so good. He strikes out on 3 pitches, and the Cubs are out 1-2-3 in the 4th. Oh, now they're your Buckeyes because they're number 1. That's the kind of guy you are. 6-3 our score. We head to the 5th inning. 6-3 is our score with a very short Steve Stone. I'm Chip Caray. Welcome back to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. One thing we haven't seen in short supply is offense in the series, and today no exception.
Well, for the first time in quite some time against this particular Brewer team, the Cubs have the early lead, something they haven't done very much of, and hopefully Steve Trachsel can hold them down because this bullpen needs a rest heading into San Diego, and Trachsel has the 3-run lead.
He's given up 2 solo home runs, but if you're going to give up the long ball, that's the kind you want to give up. You don't want runners aboard when these hot-hitting Milwaukee Brewers start a crack in the baseball.
And one of the keys is make sure you face Jeromy Burnitz with nobody
Yes.
on base, because he's been a killer in this series. He's hit 3 home runs. Fortunately today, the obligatory home run was a solo shot, and hopefully that will continue if he is going to hit the ball out of the park.
These guys are a spunky bunch, are these Brewers, but the Cubs try to send them back a pack-in with losing 2 out of 3 ball games. But a ways to go before that happens as Bronswell Patrick continues to hit. He's a good hitting pitcher, as Steve mentioned earlier. One ball, 1 strike. Lined and caught. Mickey right there, and there's 1 away.
Now you have to watch the bunt from Vigna. He comes up with nobody on. He doubled last time, but many times in a situation like this where the Brewers are down, they need base runners. Vigna does one of 2 things: either tries to bunt or waits for you to come inside, then takes it off that lead elbow and winds up getting hit. He's done that 25 times this year.
Sylvania, there's the bunt try right back to Trachsel. He'll knock it down and throw him out. Good call, Stoney. 2 away.
Well, fortunately, he bunted it so hard that even he couldn't outrun it, as Steve Trachsel was able to stay right with it. And on one pitch, this is what you want to see. A very fast man retired, and retired easily. Trachsel bidding for a 1-2-3 inning. It would be his second of the day.
He also did that back in the second inning. So Loretta, the batter, he's driven home 2 runs. Once with a home run, once with a sacrifice fly. Trachsel has a 3-run lead. And misses with ball 1. Andy Bennett through 8 innings and a third has the no-hitter. He just walked a man. And now faces Sean Casey with 1 out. No hits allowed for Andy Bennett in Arizona.
And the Mets have taken the lead up in Montreal. They lead 1-0. Runners at second and third. 2 out. Montreal has been kind enough to defeat them 2 games in a row. And Todd Hundley started behind the plate today for the Mets.
1-1. That ball rifled into right field. Sammy's in. He's got it. And that retires the side. That situation in New York getting a little ugly between Hundley and Bobby Valentine. We'll talk more about that when we come back at 6-3 and Sammy due up. Well, our thanks once again to the good folks at Tie Incorporated for their generosity in sponsoring a couple of Beanie Babies today. The Daisy the Cow Beanie Baby earlier this year. Today, Gracie the Swan. Next year, oh, Arnie the Weasel, perhaps. It'll be a huge, huge seller. Mark Grace leads off the Cubs 5th.
And you can almost feel a buzz of anticipation with Sammy in the on-deck circle, waiting to hit next.
Grace lines it over short. A leadoff single in a 3-run game, and the no-hitter is over in Arizona. Sean Casey singled with 1 out to spoil Andy Bennett's bid. So here is Sammy in the 5th. And you're right, folks. Sammy does have his groove back. He's fly to right. He's walked. He's scored a run. Cubs with a 3-run lead, looking for more. The pitch is through there for a strike. Sosa has hit 49 of his 60 home runs against right-handed pitching.
That man, Mr. Bill Murray, looking on, rooting for 61.
The 0-1. Swung on, belted. There it goes. Number 61. Move over Maris. Since Colorado.
Well, Chip, it went by the yellow building. It would have gone through one of the windows, but it went way down the street. And Sammy's driven in 147 with his 61st home run. A monstrous shot to straightaway left field. Sammy Sosa is one behind Mark McGwire.
So it's Sammy Sosa, Roger Maris, and Mark McGwire as the only three men hit 61 or more. Unbelievable. Glenn Allen pops it up. It's 0-2 to him. And there was no doubt about that ball. He absolutely crushed it. The pop, then the hop. And the only other question was, where would the ball stop? And folks, he's got a couple more swings left in him today.
And a huge series coming up in San Diego against a staff and in a ballpark that he just loves.
Hill with a base hit to left. Well, how far did she go?
Let's take another look. It's out over the plate, and Sammy got every bit of this. He knows it's gone when it left the bat. So does everybody else as the fans spring to their feet. It was a monstrous, towering home run by the building. Look at the fans leap to their feet as they know it's 61 for Sosa.
Wow. And it's an 8-3 game now.
Anything less than 500 happy feet, and we would have shorted Sammy Sosa.
I just can't believe that we got two guys in the span of a week are both at 61 or greater.
And still a long way to go.
That's right. Gaetti. Did he go around? Yeah, he did. Well, with Bill Murray on hand, National League pitchers, when they see McGwire and Sosa, they're saying it's Groundhog Day, as everybody keeps doing the same thing to him, hitting long home runs.
Well, they walked him intentionally in the third, and they pitched to him in the fifth, and it cost him 2 runs. Sammy now is sneaking up on Juan Gonzalez for the major league lead in runs batted in. Sammy with 147. Folks, you're looking at the National League most valuable player. I don't know if he's going to win that vote, but that is the National League most valuable player.
And Stoney, you're looking at a guy that has been locked in from day one with this ball club. And now continues to say all the right things, do all the right things in the field. And he swings and misses. He strikes out for out number 1. And it really has been a great pleasure to watch him do his thing.
Let's take another look, and Sammy, who has already broken a window in the yellow building across the street, hits it by the building this time. For Southwest Airlines, they estimated at a very happy 480 feet, grossly underestimated, might I add, but Sammy will take it.
So here comes Mickey. And heads up to all you military folks out in San Diego when we head to town. Nothing against your pitching staff. It's outstanding. But just in case, y'all might want to bring a glove to left field.
And right field and center field.
Man, oh man. So Roger Maris moves over as Sammy Sosa joins him at 61. And now he's one behind mighty Mark McGwire. The Cardinals and the Astros play tonight at the Dome.
Take a look at that. 2 men in the same season have eclipsed 60. And you know, we said it at the time, Chip, quite obviously all the accolades heaped on Mark McGwire, and a lot of people were calling him the home run king and the man who had set the record. There was no doubt about that, but it was almost like posting a score as the leader in the clubhouse in a golf tournament. You post a score, but you've got some guys left out on the course. One of those guys, Sammy Sosa, still in pursuit, and now he's just one back.
Ground ball right side, and not to take anything away from McGwire, I wouldn't dream of doing that. That moment, he was the first man that broke the record. No doubt about it. He deserves the accolades. He deserves the wonderful attention that he so rightly deserved and got. But I wonder what the reception will be for Sammy Sosa if he ends up with more home runs, for then he will be the record holder, not Mark McGwire. And frankly, I don't think Sosa's gotten nearly as much attention, nearly as much notoriety as McGwire, because Big Mac has led all season long.
And he was the man, along with Ken Griffey, that everybody said in spring training, if this expansion year is indeed going to be the year, it'll be a battle between Griffey and McGwire to see who breaks it. Well, it happened to be McGwire. But very few people gave Sammy, whose leading home run year was 40 going into this year, any chance. Well, he's knocking at the door, folks. And we still, being at game number just 150, with 12 to go after today, have enough time where both of these guys could be in the mid or upper 60s before it's over.
And I want to be very clear, I'm not criticizing McGwire at all for this perceived lack of attention for Sammy Sosa. I think really Sammy has probably preferred it that way. Morandini hooks that ball deep down the right side, and he just missed hitting a home run. But I will say that I just hope that the fans of our game, if Sosa hits 1, 2, 3, however many more home runs than McGwire at the end of the year, gives him the kind of celebration, the kind of accolades, the kind of reception that Mark McGwire so richly deserved, because he will too. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Mickey. And again to first. Like McGwire, Sammy Sosa is the right man at the right time to be another hero for this game of baseball.
And there are the big checks. Just one behind Mac at 61. With the wind blowing out and a long way to go in this one.
So today might be the day. He's hit 9 homers against Milwaukee. Now has Sosa. Morandini, ground ball up the middle. Good play, Loretta. Fina bare hand. Head to first, not in time. Brewers thought they turned it, and Vina did everything he could to try to turn it, but Mickey hustled down the line to keep the inning alive.
We've seen Brett Boone do this with the bare hand. Now Fernando Vina steps on the bag, throws to first. And Bob Davison said it was a step late. So the inning stays alive. But the Cubs have put 8 on the board and lead by 5.
Scott Service 1 for 2. And a slider for a strike. They go to the top of the 9th in Montreal. Mets 1. Expos nothing. Montreal shut out on 3 hits so far in that game. The 0-1 to Scotty. 0-2 now. Cubs got 6 in the 3rd after trailing 2-0. Milwaukee scored a run in the 4th. The Cubs with 2 here in the 5th on a massive, mammoth Sammy Sosa home run, his 61st of the year. They may have to rename it, folks, to Sosa Street.
Well, that ball went down Kenmore Avenue.
Swing and a miss. Service strikes out, and the inning is over. Sammy got number 61. Will there be another? Only time will tell. Cubs 8, Milwaukee 3.
My man John. I'm watching the camera. All right. But Jesus,
we go to the 6th inning. They are roaring for Sammy. And indeed, his magic number to catch Mark McGwire is now 1. The Cubs' magic number for winning this game is 12. That's how many outs they need. It's an 8-3 ball game as Trachsel trying to win for the 15th time this year. And Trachsel will face the 3-4-5 spot in Phil Garner's Milwaukee lineup here.
Sammy is now homered in every game of the series. So after going 5 games without a home run, he's exploded against the Brewer pitching staff, a staff that he's just decimated this entire season.
He's hit 9 home runs against Milwaukee. That's more than any other team. And he'll face them 2 more games plus half of this one. No balls and a strike to Nilsson. Let's pause quickly for identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Sammy Sosa's 61st home run has electrified the crowd here at Wrigley Field. Nilsson 0 for 2. Looks away at ball 1.
Sammy is due up 5th in the 6th inning. He might get 2 more at bats in this one.
It is not beyond the realm of possibility. The Cubs have a 5-run lead. 8-3 our score. Montreal now comes to the plate in the bottom of the 9th inning, trailing the Mets 1-0. The 2-1. Pulled foul past first and out of play. 2-2. Couple of finals in. The Phillies, those fighting Phils, beat the Pirates 4-1 today. And Andy Bennis settled for a 1-hit shutout of Cincinnati. He took a no-hitter into the 9th inning, got 1 out. And then after a walk, Sean Casey broke it up. But he got the victory 5-0 for the Diamondbacks. I think that's their 2nd complete game shutout in franchise history. Omar Dahl was the first. That came against the Cubs. Nilsson hits a fly ball into straightaway center. The Lance Johnson's going to catch. 1 away. 1 out here in the 6th. And Stoney, let's take a look at our Comet Power Profile.
Our Comet Power Profile is home runs against one particular team. And the Cubs have hit 25 against the Brewers this year. And that leads all teams against an opponent. 25 home runs against the Brewers, 9 of them by the man you're looking at, Sammy Sosa. And that is our Comet Power Profile.
And we get him 2.5 more games, man. Oh, it's going to be awesome. This race is going to go down to the wire, folks. And what a great race it is in '98. So many great stories in the major leagues this year. Certainly you all know the Cubs situation with Sosa, with Caray Wood, with the Cubs fighting for the playoffs. Mark McGwire. The incredible story of the San Diego Padres, the Yankees winning all of their ball games. Man, oh man. When the chapter for 1998 is written, it'll be a very long and storied one.
Well, Chip, things tightening up somewhat in the American League.
Cirillo hits a rocket deep toward left. Another solo home run hit by Milwaukee. Cirillo hits his 13th, and Milwaukee has their 4th run.
That's the 3rd home run given up by Trachsel. Fortunately, they've all come with nobody on base, and the Cubs do have a 4-run lead, although it's not quite as comfortable as it would be on another day. Jeff Cirillo gets a curveball that kind of rolls up there, and he takes it out of the ballpark, and that's going to send the bullpen to work for the Cubs. 3 solo home runs. Trachsel has now given up 25 this year, 1 behind Kevin Tapani for the team lead, but he does have the lead in this one.
A high fly off the bat of Jeromy Burnitz. He's homered today.
And Chip, I was telling you things tightening up. Detroit beat Boston today 4-1. And Toronto has just taken the lead over the New York Yankees. They lead 4-3. That game moves to the top of the 7th.
They could be 3 back. Good Toronto.
And Boston revisiting the ghost of '78. And that one behind Burnitz. A purpose pitch. And it gets his posterior.
And there's some hollering going on down on the field as Burnitz takes first. Hitters don't like it when the ball's thrown behind him. That's your natural instinct, I would imagine, to back out of the way, and there's no escape when it's thrown behind you. And
it just barely gets a piece of the heavily padded area of Jeromy Burnitz. And that sends Phil Regan to the mound with Felix Heredia throwing in the bullpen.
It's 8-4 in favor of the Cubs.
Anaheim in a race with Texas, and they play 5 more times before the end of this season. And they've rallied, putting 6 on the board in the last 3 innings. They've tied Baltimore heading into the bottom of the 7th. That game tied at 7.
Boy, they suffered a crushing loss yesterday. They had that game won. They had their closer, Troy Percival, in with a 2-0 lead. And he gave up 3 runs to the Orioles in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Mike Bordick hitting a home run, and that was somewhat of a surprise party. He took it right down the line for the win.
Off the fair pole, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed.
To tie things up, and then Eric Davis and the game-winning hit. Boy, Davis continues to sizzle for the Orioles. He's having a great year. Texas, by the way, losing at Tampa 9-4, so a chance for Anaheim to get that game back. It's 7-7 now in the 7th in Baltimore. Toronto 4, Yankees 3 in the top of the 7th. Tell you what, that Blue Jay team, those guys have really come together at the right time. Everyone thought that Gord Ash and company were throwing in the towel at the trading deadline when they traded Guzman, they traded Randy Myers, they traded others. Instead, the Blue Jays brass says that by making that trade, they were able to get very young in their outfield, put Cruz and Stewart company in the outfield.
Sean Green, a 30-30 man this year.
Jose Canseco, instead of playing the outfield, could DH full time.
And Delgado has certainly started to blossom, so they have certainly enough offense. The question was for them, would they have enough pitching? And that's been answered.
And Roger Clemens will miss 1 start. Took a couple of bouncing balls off his hand. So that doesn't help Toronto. But they have been remarkable. The 0-2 is pop fly out of play off the bat of Grissom with 1 man out.
Our guest conductor today, Chris O'Donnell. Chris lives in Chicago and Los Angeles.
Well, he picked a good day to come to the ballpark, didn't he?
He did indeed. Because to his Robin, Sammy is playing Batman.
Ground ball left side. Gaetti handles, throws to second one. That's the only play they'll have. That ball kind of handcuffed Gary, but he made the fine play to his left. He gets the leading lady at second, and Grissom aboard with 2 outs.
Good effort by Gaetti, who's been sure-handed at third. And Mickey trying to avoid the sliding Jeromy Burnitz. Able to do just that. So now you have to dodge 1 more left-handed bullet. And that's Jeff Jenkins, who's twice played Little Pepper with Mark Grace at first.
So Grace to get that glove up. Grissom a threat to steal. Not going, the pitch outside.
There hasn't been a whole lot of running in this series for the simple reason that both teams have been banging away at one another. The Cubs hit 6 home runs yesterday. Brewers have hit 3 today. They've all been solo shots. And you don't want to get taken out of a potential big inning by running yourself out of it when you have guys hitting the ball out of the ballpark.
Way outside, 2-0. I've got Trachsel at 87 pitches unofficially in the game. Again, it's a hot afternoon. And that is the 61st home run ball from Sosa. John Witt is the man who picked it up. The 2-0. 2-1. 1 out in Montreal. Nobody aboard. John Franco trying to shut it down for the Mets. They lead 1-0.
As the Mets try to salvage 1 game of that series, and when they go to Houston, that will be the tail end of a very long, a very arduous 10-game road trip.
The 2-1. It's 2-2. Now an update. Runner at second for Montreal with 1 out. Now 2 outs.
When's Vladimir Guerrero hit?
He can't hit soon enough for me. 2-2, 2 outs. 8-4 Cubs lead it. We're in the top of the 6th at Wrigley Field. Marquise Grissom, the runner for the Brewers, and he dives back in safely. The Cubs bullpen ready if needed. The 2-2. Got him swinging, and the inning is over. Trachsel gives up another solo home run. Jenkins spikes the helmet, and Milwaukee settles for 1. It's 8-4 heading to the home half of the 6th. Steve Trachsel leads it off in the Cubs 6th. A lot of home runs hit today. 3 solo shots by Milwaukee, but the only one people will talk about is number 61 hit by Sammy in the 5th. Trachsel, Johnson, Hernandez, and perhaps a parade of others as Bronswell Patrick goes back to work. Trachsel ground ball to third. Easy play for Cirillo. Steve gallops down to first, but not in time. 1 away.
Sammy due up 5th this inning, so the Cubs need a couple of base runners if he's to come to bat.
Lance stands in now. He's 1 out of 3. Montreal has runners first and second, 2 men out. Mike Hubbard batting against John Franco. And now the bases are loaded, we understand, in Montreal with 2 outs.
A little base hit. Little duck snort perhaps to right field. The game's over.
Does it have to be a duck? Goose, quail?
Could be anything at this point.
Canary, pigeon? One ball, 1 strike. The ace is wild on that scoreboard. Number 1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Now it's 1-2.
Bullpen continues to work for Milwaukee in case Patrick has some problems, and he had a bunch of problems last inning. 3 straight hits, and in the middle, Sammy's 61st.
It's 2-2 now. Cubs trying for win number 84, and it's now over in Montreal. Mets win it 1-0. So the Cubs have to win to maintain the wild card lead of a game. The pitch. Pull right side, right field corner, fair ball in the corner. Let's see how many Lance can get. He's got 2 for sure. Burnitz over quickly. He turns the corner at second. Relay to third is not in time. And a great backup by Patrick saved him a run. That ball was ticketed for the seats, but it's a 1-out triple.
You're right about the effort by Bronswell Patrick. He was streaking in back of the throw, and as the throw got away, Patrick was able to stab that ball that looked like it was easily going to be in the seats. So now the infield has to play in at all 4 positions as we watch one of the great triples hitter in baseball today, Lance Johnson, streaking around second base, trying to outrun the arm of Burnitz and the arm of Vina, and Patrick able to save a run, at least for the moment.
Jose, the batter, with an RBI already. The Brewers thinking the Cubs might squeeze. They pitch out, nothing doing, 1-0.
And 1 more base runner for the Cubs, and Sammy Sosa will have another opportunity. Lance Johnson, active career leaders, trails only Molitor and Raines. 111 for Lance.
2 balls, no strikes. I wouldn't imagine that Molitor's going to get that many more. Well, what a player he is. He still has great speed despite the number of notches on the belt.
I wouldn't think that Raines would get all that many more. They have about 15 outfielders in New York.
2-0. Ground ball hit to the shortstop. And Jose is retired. The infield in saves Milwaukee a run, and now Mark Grace the batter.
And they're going to the left-hander against Grace. Patrick will be done. Phil Garner will go to the pen one more time.
So Patrick goes 1, 2, 3 innings and a third. He's given up 2 runs. He'll depart. We'll be right back. A beautiful day for baseball, ever more so as the Cubs enjoy the lead. And Valerio de los Santos takes over for Milwaukee. He's been very impressive for them pitching out of the bullpen.
On for the 10th time, 3.50 ERA, and he was not impressive yesterday when he pitched an inning. Gave up 4 runs on 3 hits with a walk and a strikeout. One of those base hits, Sammy Sosa's 60th home run, a 3-run shot in the 7th inning. That got the Cubs at the time within 4. They completed their comeback in the 9th. And De Los Santos on to face Grace. If Mark does get aboard, you got to believe that he is not going to face Sosa, as a right-hander is up and working in the pen.
Brad Woodall started for the Brew Crew. He gave up 6 runs in 2 1/3. Patrick has given up a couple in 3 innings and a third. Lance Johnson, his responsibility at third here in the bottom of the 6th inning. There are 2 men out, and it's an 8-4 Cubs game. I want to get Ed Belfour out there too. Either that or it's Freddie Krueger. I'm not sure which.
Or Jason.
Yeah, I got my horror guys mixed up. I'm sorry, it's Jason. My bad.
But he's ready to go because I don't think that anybody's going to do any bodily harm to him.
Either that or he looks like one of the extras out of the what were those Mel Gibson movies?
Mad Max and
Mad
Thunderdome.
Max and the Thunderdome. Yeah, that's it. Or a well-movied guy.
A cornucopia of movie trivia.
0-2. Fastball downstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, we'll put your movie knowledge to the test when Mr. O'Donnell gets here. In the top half of the 7th inning. Big-time Hollywood superstar. The pitch. Pulled to the right side. Good play by the first baseman Nilsson. He'll step on the bag in the inning over. Lance Johnson tripled with 1 out. The Cubs can't get him home. After 6, it's still 8-4. On to the 7th we go, and Chris O'Donnell is here suffering from a severe case of stage fright, but he says the show will go on in the thespian tradition as he will be our guest conductor of the 7th inning stretch, hopefully after Steve Trachsel gets these guys 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. It's Hughes, the pitcher spot, and then Fernando Vina.
And a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle. And the bullpen up and going for the Cubs. And it is Terry Mulholland.
Well, Chris Haney was up earlier in the game. That might have been just to shake off a little bit of jet lag. We shall see. A squibber is just foul behind the plate. 0-1. Hughes 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored. 8-4 is our score in our 7th inning. Nothing in 1. Hit high in the air, deep towards center field. Lance gives up on that one. A long solo home run from Hughes. That's 4 solo blasts hit by the Brewers today, and the game continues to tighten.
And let's see how patient Jim Riggleman is going to be. Fortunately, all the home runs have come with nobody on, but Trachsel now is tied with Kevin Tapani. He's given up 4 home runs in 6 innings of work, and I think that's going to be it for Steve Trachsel, who will leave with the lead, but there is a long way to go. We told you the power of Bobby Hughes, and he shows it to you. This is a forkball or split finger fastball, a towering home run into the shrubbery.
But again, the big key for Trachsel was the fact that Stoney, giving up his 4 home runs, nobody on in front of him. And that's why he's able to lead with the lead. Also, his mates have scored 8 runs today. He is in line to win for the 15th time. And Terry Mulholland takes over here in the 7th inning. Still nobody out in a 3-run Cub game. Well, it's Terry Mulholland now. Still nobody out in the 7th inning. Steve Trachsel gives up 4 solo home runs, but leaves with the lead. And Brian Banks, the Milwaukee pinch hitter. Do you read anything into this relief appearance by Mulholland, as if he will not be the starting pitcher in San Diego?
I don't think it matters, because I think that if you want to start him on Wednesday, he would be able to go. After he started in Pittsburgh, he told Jim Riggleman that he could go the next day if he needed him. So Terry, pretty much a rubber-armed left-hander who's been brilliant this year. 2.58 ERA.
And an ERA a shade over 1 in his starts.
On for the 66th time. 3 of them have been as a starter.
Two balls and a strike to Banks. And that one to the backstop, 3-1. Mets already have a win in the bank. 1-0. They beat Montreal. Arizona beat Cincinnati 5-0. A one-hitter for Andy Benes. Florida beat Atlanta 6-5 today. No decision for Greg Maddux, who had to leave the ball game after straining a muscle in his left armpit, we understand. And he has been, well, human since the All-Star break. 3-2 to Banks. He fights off another Terry Mulholland pitch.
He swung at ball 4 that time. That one was destined to go low and out of the zone, but Banks wanted to protect, so he's able to stay alive. Big out right here as we head to the top of the order.
Three-two. Swung on, belted down the left field line, but he pulled it foul. These guys don't have much of a reputation as being a power hitting ball club. I tell you what, they've made believers out of me.
Well, they came in with a lot of home runs. They've hit 146 this year. That's not too bad.
3-2. Got him swinging, took something off, one away. When you look at this ball club, you don't have any big time names. But Jeromy Burnitz has led the home run parade for him this year, and he's led it brilliantly, including today.
Pretty good breaking ball on 3-2, and Banks goes down on strikes.
Sammy Sosa has walloped number 61 already today. He'll lead off the bottom half of the 7th after Chris O'Donnell dazzles us with the 7th inning stretch. Here's Vina, 1 for 3 with a double. And he looks at a ball low. It's off to San Diego we go after today's play. A 4-game set beginning tomorrow night right here on WGN. Toronto has added another run in New York. It's 5-3 heading to the 8th. They might take 3 straight from New York. Wouldn't that be something? The Red Sox already lost 4-1 to Detroit.
And they lost at home. So things starting to deteriorate for the Sox.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Look out, folks. Vina strikes out. And hopefully he didn't make contact with one of the fans in the seats. 2 up, 2 down for Mulholland, and Avina checking on the fans as he heads back to the Milwaukee dugout.
Mulholland has appeared in every game of the series. 2 1/3 perfect innings on Friday. 2/3 of perfect baseball yesterday. And he retires the first 2 men on strikes as the bat goes flying.
Loretta fouls the first pitch back.
And if you're thinking about valuable guys out of the bullpen, quite obviously Rod Beck will get all the acclaim. But many of those saves, the ball was handed to him directly by Terry Mulholland, who shut the door heading to Rod Beck.
1-1.
So you wanted a seat close to the dugout, huh?
Got to bring your shoulder pads on NFL Sunday, folks. But certainly we hope that gentleman's okay. A ball, 2 strikes to Loretta. Boy, how valuable is it to have a guy like Mulholland, like you said, just come in, you give him the ball, you feel like whatever the jam is, he's going to get you out of it.
Well, he's done it this entire series. 3 2/3 innings of perfect baseball, spanning now 3 games.
Morandini to his right. And that streak continues. 3 up, 3 down for Mulholland. Here comes Chris O'Donnell with our 7th inning stretch.
Please join.
The 61st was a monstrous shot.
He nailed that guy.
And now he gets a chance to lead it off. The Cubs looking for a few more runs with a 3-run lead. And you get to join us in the booth. And how about the view from up here? Can it be
I
better?
tell you what, these are pretty sweet seats you have up here. Last time I was here, oh my gosh. John, look at how people out there. Oh my God. This is so big time.
Well, here's the last one. There was no doubt about this one. Look how far, Chris, this baby went. Past
They
the
show
yellow
it before it went
house.
down the street.
Went down Kenmore.
That's what I thought.
It missed the building, went
Did
down
you
the
see Sammy
street.
after he hit it, he kind of like was shaking his fist. He was so excited.
Well, he's sitting on 61 now.
This is so cool.
And he's got a new combatant against whom to do it.
Could you have a more perfect setting for a 62nd?
Here's Sammy. It's high, ball 1. David Weathers, the man opposing him. The wind, the 1-0. Swing, what a cut he had. 1-1.
Weathers comes into this one 6-5, 5.12 ERA, on for the 41st time.
He's sitting on 61, the 1-1. Check swing. It was up in the zone, and he's down 1-2 now.
Weathers has only given up 5 home runs this year in 103 2/3, but with the wind blowing out, Sammy doesn't have to get it all. He just has to get a piece of it.
Yeah, flick of the wrists. The 1-2. It slides outside, 2-2. Everybody in the ballpark either standing or on the edge of their seat as Sammy Sosa back to work. The 2-2 swung on. He stayed alive. Man, this has been unbelievable.
Pretty good pitch to foul off. That was a hard slider, low and away, and Sammy was able to stay alive. Everybody in the ballpark on their feet.
Weathers ready again. Sammy digging in. The 2-2. He missed with it. Full count.
Goodness gracious.
No way Tom Hellion was ringing him up on that one. It was close, but not that close.
Here we go, Sammy.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it is. Got him swinging. 1 down. He came into the wheelhouse and Sammy missed it. 1 away. So Weathers survives that storm. He gets Sosa for out number 1.
Is McGuire still stuck in 62?
Stuck on 62, and he plays in Houston tonight.
He'll probably have like 3 after Sammy ties him.
That wouldn't surprise me. Those two guys have been unbelievable in their game of one-upsmanship. Glenn Allen Hill hits that ball out of play.
Ironically, Sammy couldn't have ordered a better pitcher to hit against than David Weathers. He hit .583 against him, 7 for 12 with 2 home runs, but this time Weathers won the battle.
Glenn Allen Hill, a couple of hits today, and he takes strike. Chris, everybody in LA has to be disappointed with the Dodgers, and you've got to be having your chest puffed out awfully proudly to see the way this Cubs team's played in '98.
You know what? I got no kind of relationship to the Dodgers. I'm a Cub man myself.
Well, all your friends out in LA have to be just a little bit envious of the way this team's going, huh?
I got all my friends are all from Chicago. They're down there in box number 4 right now drinking free beer.
I wish we were having a few of those ourselves here, but it is early. 1-2. Low 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I tell you what, it feels like it middle of July out here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been hot.
Unbelievable.
Ball's been jumping. The Cubs have been playing great baseball.
But there certainly is a playoff atmosphere at the ballpark.
Chip, were you down in Atlanta? No, Skip's in Atlanta.
My dad's in Atlanta. I worked with him for a couple of years down there.
Where did you come from?
I grew up in St. Louis, believe it or not.
Did you really?
And
that's where my family's from.
Have learned to dislike the Cardinals here over the last
Absolutely.
6 or 7 months.
I thought it was a Cardinal game when I saw the Beanie Baby people.
Those are all the Beanie Baby people. So if you didn't
what
get
is this,
any
a Cardinal game?
if you didn't get any Beanie Babies, those are the folks to talk to out there. Pitch. It's upstairs, 3-2. $40,846 at the ballpark today. The largest crowd of the year. And they saw Sammy hit number 61. And Glenn Allen Hill takes a walk.
And a stirring rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball
That was the best, without question.
I think they
that's the
showed
highlight.
up to see you.
I saw a few tears in their eyes. I mean,
I think Sammy and the Cub chase for the wild card was probably incidental to your rendition of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Our producer Pete Toma tells us that, Chris, we are of course hooked into the World Wide Web, and the overwhelming cascade of positive reception for your rendition is something we thought you should know. Everybody around the world that saw it thought it was outstanding. Now, how long did you practice for it?
I practiced for about 10 minutes in the shower today. Great acoustics in the shower.
That, like so many other things, a little too much information.
Yeah, thank you very much.
But what is the next project you're working on? I know that you have a wonderful resume at this point.
I did a film earlier this summer called Cookie's Fortune. It was a Robert Altman film down in Mississippi. And I'm probably going to start one this November called The Bachelor. I play, oddly enough, The Bachelor.
Where will you be filming it?
In New York City.
I was going to say Steve Stone's apartment. That'd be the perfect place. 1 ball, no strikes.
Hey, didn't that used to be Don Zimmer's apartment straight across from the high-rise? Didn't he used to live up there?
He lived in the tallest one there.
Building, right?
I used to live in the one that you can see just over the scoreboard there.
Okay.
When I played here, got a chance to
Stoner's
see which
bachelor
way-
pad?
Well, not at that point, no. I got a chance to see which way the wind was blowing and had a pretty good idea how many earned runs I was giving up on a daily basis.
2 balls, no strikes. Gary Gaetti, the batter. A little insurance would be nice. Rocket hit toward right. Burnitz on the run, slowing now. He has it. And Gaetti is out number 2. Brant Brown came on as a pinch runner.
I tell you, he's been a pretty good pickup, hasn't he?
Gaetti, he's been terrific.
God,
he's been terrific.
Been real solid.
Hill, Gaetti, Merced, and all of the pickups that came during the course of this season to add to this ball club. They've all played a very big part in getting the Cubs to where they're at. 1 game up in the wild card, but with the Mets winning today 1-0 in Montreal, the Cubs have to win to maintain that 1-game lead.
Morandini should have been in the All-Star game.
You're right.
There's the man who helped put this team together.
I was
Ed
gonna say,
Lynch.
it makes you think that maybe the Cubs know what they're doing for once. What? I don't know.
It's been a pretty good year for them, especially when you consider the improvement over last year's team and really the wholesale changes that had to go into effect after a very disappointing '97. To see what this team looks like now, the different character of the ball club, and the winning players that were brought into this organization, you'd have to say that Ed Lynch and Andy McPhail have done
was it Ed or
great
Andy from
turnabout.
Minnesota? Which one was both?
Andy was the general manager in Minnesota, and Ed worked with both San Diego and the New York Mets before Andy chose him as the general manager of this team, and Andy came here as the president.
Well, let's keep up with a family tradition. Chris, how's your dad Bud doing? As my grandfather would have called it.
One of my greatest moments ever.
The 0-1. It's
Yeah,
downstairs.
We came up. My dad used to be at WBBM, and so Harry knew him from BBM when he was doing the Sox games. And when I threw out the first pitch and I was up here last year, he walked in and Harry's eyes lit up. He goes, "My good friend Bud O'Donnell's here." He couldn't remember who it was.
It must have been a hot day. He was thinking about a Budweiser.
He said, "Thanks, Harry, but my name's Bill."
Line drive hit to left. Jeff Jenkins drifts back, makes the catch, and the inning is over. Chris, thanks so much for being here. Let's get it home. Bring home a winner.
My hands are still sweating, but I'm out of here.
Great job. Good luck in Hollywood. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
We go to the 8th inning. Cubs have an 8-5 lead on Beanie Baby Day at the ballpark. Again, our thanks to the folks at Ty Incorporated. Terry Mulholland goes to work here against Nilsson, Cirillo, and Burnitz. Very tough. Heart of the order for the Brewers. My name's Chip Caray, along with Steve Stone, and a man who caught lucky number 61 in the booth with us. John Witt is the man that, well, risked life and limb to catch number 61. What was the scene like out beyond the ballpark in left field when that ball came your way?
It was pretty much a zoo. I mean, people all over the place. I was standing back and just got a good bounce.
You caught it on a bounce. You didn't catch it on the fly. Come on, man.
But you said that it did go by the building on a fly.
It hit about 2 feet past the corner of the building on the fly.
Well, that is a tremendous home run.
Sprayed foul, 2-2. And I guess the question on everybody's lips now is, it's number 61. Sammy still trails McGuire by 1. What are you going to do with the baseball?
I'm going to talk to Sammy. You know, I'd love to give it back to him and work something out with him there. But, you know, McGuire's sitting on 62, so is it really worth that much, you know? I haven't really thought about it.
There are only 3 men now in the history of the game who have hit 61 home runs or more.
Exactly.
And you've got the ball that...
And it's not something that happens every day.
No question about that. 3-2 to Nilsson. Ground ball, foul, and out of play. You had to jump in a car for safety, huh? Was that crazy out there?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I put the ball in my glove, and 3 guys that are regulars out there just took me off, and away I was. I was in the van.
Well, obviously you didn't fumble. Have you given any thought about maybe going over to the Bears and trying out for tailback or something?
Probably couldn't do much worse, but...
Foul ball again by Nilsson, who is 0 for 3.
Yeah, I think the thing you had to avoid was a blindside blitz where somebody knocks the ball out of your glove.
That's why everybody was around me out there.
Where are you from, John? Are you from Chicago?
I'm from Dixon, the hometown of Ronald Reagan.
Oh, outstanding. And how did you come about being at the ballpark today? Just wanted to see a part of history, or did you have tickets?
I was at a party about 8 blocks away last night, and I'm like, you need to go to the game. I have no idea why I was supposed to come or what. It just happened.
Well, there was the scene a few moments ago after you caught the baseball in the car for safety. There's the record. Number 61 home run ball. Stoney's going to hold it, and he served up a few of those himself as well.
Well, I have it right here, Chip, and there is a scuff on the baseball where it obviously hit the cement after it went by the building. But why don't you hold it up and show it to the folks? The historic number 61.
So, John, all your friends and family down in Dixon, they ought to be awfully proud of you catching that ball on the bounce. Congratulations, and hope your meeting with Sammy Sosa goes well after the ball game.
Thanks.
All right, John Witt, congratulations. Thanks for talking about it with us. And hopefully you and Sammy can get together afterwards, and he can get the souvenir, and you can get something nice as well. Cubs looking for the win now is Jeff Cirillo, the batter, with 1 man out. Terry Mulholland continues his outstanding relief work.
And it would help to retire Cirillo ahead of Jeromy Burnitz, who stands in the on-deck circle. Terry has now faced 4 men. He's fanned 3 of them, and he continues to be perfect in this his 3rd of 3 games against the Brewers.
Oh, 0-2. Lined into center field for a base hit. The first blemish on Mulholland's pitching line in this series. And Cirillo's aboard with 1 man out for Jeromy Burnitz. Be careful here. And Cubs fans, visit the team's official website for updates of Sammy's home run charge. Also available at www.cubs.com. It's a new online team shop where fans can order the latest in Cubs merchandise 24 hours a day. So the Cubs website, www.cubs.com. The stretch pitch swung on, hit high in the air, deep toward left. Brown's back as far as he can go, leaps up, it's in play. The ball ricochets off the wall. Cirillo streaks around third, he's going to score, and that is a huge break. Another foot to the right, and it's a home run. Instead, it's a double and an RBI for Milwaukee.
RBI number 120 for Burnitz, who has 2 runs batted in, and the Brewers move within 2. From the Southwest Airlines Plainview camera, we'll take a look at a towering shot that just missed going out of the ballpark. Brant Brown back as far as he could go, up as high as he could leap. The ball stays in the park. And another single run scored by the Brewers. Here comes Phil Regan to talk with Terry Mulholland. You've got Heredia and Karshner loosening up in the bullpen, and Marquise Grissom waiting to hit. And I will be happy when we don't see Jeromy Burnitz for a while.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to take 2 more looks at him in this season. Up in Milwaukee, we've got 2 more games with these guys, and this one's not over by a long shot. 2-0. That missed way inside. 3-0.
You got Hughes in the on-deck circle, and he has homered twice in as many days. He's 2 for 3 today. He was 2 for 4 yesterday.
Will they give him the green light? 3-0. They did. Foul back. 3 balls and a strike.
Billy Williams along with Jim Riggleman looking over the lineup card to see the moves that Phil Garner has left and counter them with the moves that Jim Riggleman has left.
3-1. He lost him. Ball 4. 2 are on. 1 is out. Mulholland upset with himself that he lost Newfield. And now it's Hughes with the tying run at second base.
And here comes Jim Riggleman. And he's going to make a double switch. He's going to bring in Karshner. And then we'll see what Phil Garner does.
Well, they'll have Greg Martinez running at first for Milwaukee.
Looks like Mark Grace has gone into the dugout. Orlando Merced has gone into left field. And Merced will take over in left field.
So we'll straighten out all the changes for you. And we'll update you on Matt Karshner's season when we return to Wrigley Field after this. Bob Hamlin's going to come on to pinch hit for Hughes. First and second, 1 out. Orlando Merced, one of yesterday's heroes, takes over in left field for the Cubs. Brant Brown out of the ball game. And the new pitcher is Matt Karshner.
Karshner comes in at 3-0. The ERA 5.32 on for the 23rd time. He inherits Brewer base runners at first and second. And he'll be looking in at the best pinch hitter on this team, Bob Hamlin, with 4 home runs in a pinch hitting role.
2 on, 1 out, 1-run Cub game. Ball 1. I'll be glad when we don't have to walk around these Brewers again anymore. They have played very, very tough. 1-0. Nearly hit him. 2-0. Hamlin, a guy that had such great success with Kansas City in his rookie year.
Well, he doesn't run very well, and you can turn the double play if you can get him to hit the ball on the ground. He's grounded into 6 double plays in just 134 at bats. He's also driven in 6 runs as a pinch hitter this year.
He's got a hitter's pitch now. 2-0. Belted right field line, but he's out in front. And if they ever remake the Babe Ruth story and want a modern day ball player to play the guy, he's my choice.
Unfortunately, he got around a little too early because that one had home run distance. It was on to Sheffield. It was just foul.
The Mets beat Montreal 1-0 earlier. Brian McRae threw out the tying run at the plate to end the ball game at Olympic Stadium. 2-1. 2-2. Want to wish a happy birthday to Claudia Gonzalez, working in the marketing department for the Cubs today. She's hoping to see the Cubs win the game and maybe Sammy hit another home run. 8-7 is our score. The ERAs for both of these ball clubs have taken a huge pounding. 2-2. Missed with it. 3-2.
And now the question, if you're Phil Garner, you only have one out. You've got very good speed at second base. Do you send the runners? Karshner has got to take a couple of looks. And if you do strike him out, Service might want to go to second with the throw.
3-2. Here it comes. They are going. The pitch pulled. Foul past first. Colorado's tied the Giants 1-1 after 3.5. The other National League Baseball is the Cardinals and the Astros later on tonight. Three balls, 2 strikes. Bob Hamlin digs in. A strikeout here would be very nice. The pitch. Runners go nowhere near. He walked it. Bases are loaded now. And that gets Weathers out of the game. And I think it's Valentin.
It is Valentin, who's a switch hitter. And Jose Valentin has pretty good speed. He's only grounded into 2 double plays this year in 389 at bats. However, he is 0 for 9 as a pinch hitter. Now the question, if you're Jim Riggleman, you know that Valentin doesn't hit near as well from the right side as he does from the left side, and I think that's how they want to face him. All of his power, all 15 home runs have come as a left-hand hitter, but it'll be Felix Heredia taking over for Matt Karshner.
So the Cubs pen making it interesting once again here in the late innings at Wrigley Field. Milwaukee has loaded the bases in the 8th inning. Karshner can't get the man assigned to him. And now Heredia will try to get Valentin and the Brewers and escape with the Cubs leading 8-7. 2 runs already in for Milwaukee. It's a 1-run game, and now Heredia will not face Valentin. He's going to face another man, a right-hand hitter, Darren Jackson.
Felix 2-3, ERA 5.37, on for the 64th time. He's 2-0 with a 5.02 ERA, on for the 23rd time as a Cub. And there is no place to put Darren Jackson, who's hitting .226, 4 home runs, 16 driven in. He's 3 for 12 as a pinch hitter with 3 runs driven in. Now he doesn't have overwhelming speed, and he has grounded into 5 double plays. And the Cubs will be looking for 2.
And here's what scares you. Heredia against left-handed hitters, holding them to a 174 average. Against right-handed hitters, 323.
All he needs is 1 ground ball, and they're in a touch in the middle. If it comes right back at Heredia, he's got to come home with it.
Bases full of Brewers. The pitch. Swung, line drive, base hit, 1 run scores. Here comes Martinez around third. The throw not in time. It's cut off. And just like that, Milwaukee has grabbed the lead. That didn't take long. And the 4 runs charged to Mulholland.
And the one problem with Felix is he's had all kinds of trouble getting the right-handers out. So for the first time in a long time, the Brewers have the lead, doing to the Cubs what the Cubs did to them yesterday. But hopefully with a 1-run lead, things will look a lot better in the late innings.
And whether it's baseball or business, there's nothing worse than a leaky pen. And that's been the problem for the Cubs here the last couple of weeks. Milwaukee's jumped in front now. 9-8. We're in the 8th.
Darren Jackson taking off his batting gloves.
For his sliding gloves.
And he wants to put on his running gloves. Hey, it's a game of specialists.
Well, you got to get those endorsement deals too, man. All the logos on them.
And now we're going to see a pinch runner for Bob Hamlin.
Ron Belliard will run for Hamlin. Well, Phil Garner is using everybody on his roster in today's game.
When you have expanded rosters, you have a lot of moves left to you. And there's still a lot of moves left to Jim Riggleman. It'll be Scott Service leading it off in the 8th. Still a long way to go. And as we've seen in this series, anything can happen.
So ways to go yet. It's a one-run game in favor of Milwaukee. Vigna now against Toretti. We'll see if he has much better luck with a left-hander. Nope. Base hit into center field. Johnson kicks it, picks it up. He's going to fire homeward. It's going to be a close play. It's going to be in time. And there's out number 2.
Well, Belliard didn't run particularly well. He stopped, he started, he stopped, he started. And in the end, Lance Johnson kicking this ball turned up in the gold for the Cubs. And they were going to hold him at third. Once you hold him, he should stay there as Felix has faced 2 men on 2 pitches, given up 2 hits. Lance misses it. And Belliard, who had stopped at third, now takes off. And they cut him down at the plate. Good tag by Scott Service. And the call by Tom Hallion. And so instead of a 2-run lead, it's a 1-run lead, but now there are 2 outs.
And now Riggleman on his way out again. He's going to yank Heredia from the game. This is unbelievable. 4th pitcher of the inning for the Cubs. Well, another pitching change for the Cubs. Don Wengert becomes the 4th pitcher of the inning and the 5th of the day for the Cubs. Mulholland, Karchner, Heredia, now Wengert. And Milwaukee still has a 1-run lead, 1st and 2nd, but now 2 men out.
And it was Wengert who started the first game of this series. He went 2 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs on 4 hits with a couple of walks. Now he comes in relief. Runners at 1st and 2nd, but there are 2 outs as the Brewers have put 4 on the board. But for some bad base running, this would be a little tougher for Don Wengert, who has to get this one out and turn it over to the high-powered Cub offense.
So Loretta 1 for 3, but he is 6 for 13 in the series. Sammy, it looks like, will get another at bat today. That's assuming the Cubs can not win the game or take the lead in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Hopefully that'll be the case, and hopefully Sammy will have a hand in it. First pitch is a strike. It's 0-1. It's got to be frustrating for Jim Riggleman too, Stoney, because other than Terry Mulholland and Rod Beck, there hasn't been anybody down in that bullpen that Jim can look at and say, okay, today I think I can go to this particular guy to get me an inning if I need it, because nobody down there in the last 3 weeks has given him that kind of work. So there is no direction for him to turn. He's managing literally and figuratively by feel.
Well, you make the moves, you just hope they turn out. But Wengert, in 2 at-bats against Loretta in the first game of this series, gave up a single and a run-scoring double. So let's hope he has a little better luck this time against a very tough hitter.
A ball and a strike. 2 on, 2 out. 1 and 2. Can the Cubs get this game to Rod Beck in the 9th with the lead? If they do, they'll have to first get it against Eric Plunk, who's warming in the Milwaukee bullpen. Brewers have scored 4 times in the 8th off 4 Cub pitchers. 1 and 2. Slider, he just did stay alive. One and 2. 9 runs, 12 hits for Milwaukee. 8 and 12 for the Cubs. The stretch now, the 1-2 is outside 2 and 2.
Well, we have flown by the combined run scoring totals for National League high this year. Actually a Major League high this year in a 3-game series. 13-11, 15-12, and now 9-8, and this one isn't close to over yet.
2-2. Loretta the batter. High pop. Will it stay in play? Service near the dugout. He's got it. And the inning is over. That's a big break. But still Milwaukee bats around in the 8th. They score 4 times off 4 pitchers. Looking to the bottom half. Cubs need a run to tie. It's 9-8. It's 9-8. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Eric Plunk, the new pitcher. Tyler Houston will be the batter. And let's take a look at our Ameritech playbook.
Felix Heredia comes in and he gives up a 2-run single on the first pitch. Darren Jackson drives home 2 as a pinch hitter. For the moment, that puts the Brewers ahead by a run, and that's your Ameritech playbook, the play that's made the difference. And Eric Plunk against yesterday's hero Tyler Houston.
One ball, no strikes to Houston. And a real dilemma here. Houston and Merced will bat back-to-back. Whose bat will they be using in this most important of situations? Tyler was unbelievable in a pinch hitting role yesterday. So was Merced. He won it with a 3-run homer. 1-1 to Tyler, who was Steve's guest on the Emmy award-winning leadoff man program. 1-2. Finally, now the Yankees have lost their 3rd in a row to Toronto. 5-3. The Blue Jays are 3 games behind Boston for the wild card. Texas was beaten too. The 1-2. Bouncing ball, base hit up the middle. Tying runs aboard in the 8th.
This offense just continues to pound away and keep the Cubs in each and every game, as Tyler Houston with a pinch hit coming off the bench like he did yesterday when he came off the bench with a pinch home run and later drove home the tying runs in the 9th.
So here's Merced. He's got some big fans watching this game down in Orlando, Florida. The Shader family knows Orlando very well. Their son Josh goes to school here at Northwestern in Chicago, and they'd love to see him crack one here. The pitch, trying to check it, could not. 0-1. Brewers 9, Cubs 8 in the bottom of the 8th inning. 1 on, nobody out. That's Tyler Houston. That's Orlando Merced.
Merced has seen Plunk 1 time, and he's got a base hit off him.
Swung late, fouled back. 0-2. The Mets were winners earlier. If you did not hear, 1-0. They held on to the lead. Mike Hubbard with a single up the middle. Brian McRae came charging, grabbed the ball, threw out the game-tying run at the plate with 2 outs. And the Mets hung on to win 1-0. 0-2. In the dirt, good stop. Mike Matheny now the new Milwaukee catcher. Martinez stays in the game to play left field for the Brewers. One ball, 2 strikes. Swung late, struck him out. 1 away.
Lance Johnson has always had good luck against Eric Plunk, hitting .308 lifetime, 4 for 13 with a triple. And Plunk just heats him upstairs and throws it right by him. So Eric Plunk has always had a huge fastball. It's been location that has plagued him over the course of his career. He's thrown the ball pretty well since becoming a member of the Brewer bullpen. And they got him from the Indians in exchange for Doug Jones.
Lance Johnson's got 2 hits, a single and a triple. 9-8 score. Low ball one. It's in favor of Milwaukee. Our thanks to Chris O'Donnell for his stirring rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game today. Very nice young man. And we wish him well. 1-0. Blowing in. 2-0.
If you don't score, it'll be Haney. If you do score two, it'll be Rod Beck.
Want to wish happy birthday greetings to Justin LeBlanc, who's watching the game down in Kenner, Louisiana today. He's 17 years old. And Sharon Palazzo, also celebrating a birthday, wants to wish her sister, Kathy Applegate, a happy birthday as well, watching with Ashley, Alex, Nick, and Matt today. Crowd didn't like that call. The count 3-1. I can't think of a better birthday present than a Cub win. But some work to be done. 3 balls and a strike. The pitch. Right through there. The Cubs have been comeback kids most of the season. Yesterday won their 3rd game of the year when trailing after 8. The Cubs now 3-54 in that dubious statistic. Maybe we can do it again today. The 3-2 runner goes. Pitch cut on. Bouncing ball to first. Good play, Nilsson. If he doesn't get it, it's into right field, and runners are at the corners. Instead, Tyler has to stop at second, and now 2 men out.
And if Jim Riggleman didn't send Tyler Houston, that would have been a double play. So you send Houston, you move the tying run into scoring position, and it'll be Hernandez against Plug. Good effort by Dave Nielsen as he has to come off the bag. And a pretty slick pickup, and he makes the out himself.
Well, Jose's got some pop. Let's see if he can drive home the tying run. He's 1 for 4. The pitch off speed. And a late strike call. 0-1.
And he faced Plunk in the opening game on Friday. Hit a bullet of a line drive, but it was caught at shortstop.
No balls, 1 strike. He laid off. Grissom playing way around toward right for Jose. If he could pull a ball to the gap, he would easily have 2 and maybe more. Nine to 8. Milwaukee has come from behind to grab the lead. 1-1. Here it is. Buzzsaw's the outside corner. 1-2.
And the reason why Grissom is shaded toward right center is you got to figure he's going to try to stay away from Jose, and you have to figure that Jose is going to have to go that way to get anything done in this at bat. Maybe Plunk will hang one of those curveballs.
That would be nice. Here's the 1-2. He didn't hang it. Jose missed it in the inning over. No runs. Leadoff single goes to waste after 8. Milwaukee still leads it by a run. Well, we go to the all-important 9th inning. 9-8 in favor of Milwaukee. The Brewers trying to break our hearts. And Chris Haney, the new left-hander, will make his Cub debut. Tyler Houston will stay in the game and catch his deliveries.
Well, we'll just have to hope that the Cub pitching staff can get real rested on that plane to San Diego, because 18 different pitching changes in this series. And Haney the 18th, as he'll go right through the heart of the order for the Milwaukee Brewers. And there's the numbers with Kansas City: a 7.03 ERA, a 6-6 record.
Here's Nilsson 0 for 4, and he looks at a ball. I know there are a lot of folks who don't like the way Jim Riggleman handles his staff, but really the man's hands are tied. He can only go by the numbers in key situations and matchups, and if the pitcher doesn't perform, the move looks bad. And really, the last couple of weeks, the bullpen has been very, very inconsistent, and that's putting it kindly. He's had very little area with which to work. A line drive hit to right. Nilsson's retired for out number 1. And it's like any other move. When it works, the manager looks like a genius. When the player performs, when the player doesn't, the manager looks bad. And right now, the Cubs bullpen is a mess. And there's not a whole lot of help on the horizon. Somehow, some way, in the final 2 weeks of the season, those guys have got to get it straightened out together as a group. Otherwise, this race may not work out the way we all hope it will.
Well, the Cubs have the heart of the order due up in the bottom of the ninth. Started off with Mark Grace and Sammy Sosa. So it's imperative on Haney to shut the door here in the ninth.
And if you can't out-pitch him, let's see if we can out-hit him. That'd be nice. Cirillo looks at a strike from Haney. A young man, 29-year-old left-hander who has been banged up the last couple of years. He came over from Kansas City for cash considerations. 1 ball, 1 strike. Plenty of NFL finals are in. We'll give them to you in a second. We'll give you the winners. That ball belted deep toward left. I don't think the ballpark's going to hold it. It's not. 2-run Milwaukee lead.
Haney's been in for 2 hitters. One a rocket off the bat of Nielsen right at Sosa, and this one the second home run of the day for Jeff Cirillo. That's his 14th. He's driven in 65, including 2 home runs and 2 driven in today. And the suddenly muscular Brewers have a 2-run lead.
Well, just goes to show you don't need to hit 3-run homers to win. You can hit a bunch of solos. That's what Milwaukee has done today.
Not much doubt about this. It's a fastball and it's crushed. And Terry Adams loosening in the pen.
Some of our fans emailing us wanting to know about maybe a Mark Pachota who has been down in AAA. They're still battling in the playoffs. And frankly, Mark hasn't exactly dazzled them down in Des Moines either. What you see is what you got. And like we said, at the start of this year, the Cubs pen was outstanding. It was really one of this team's strengths the first couple of months of the season. But since then, it's been very, very tough finding anybody other than Rod Beck and Terry Mulholland to get anybody out with any kind of consistency on a day-to-day basis. And that goes hand in hand with the starters, too. When the starters go 4 innings, it wears out your bullpen, and consequently, they're not as effective as they could be. So I guess what I'm saying is you win as a team, you lose as a team. You just wish that this particular portion of it wasn't so glaring because it happens at the end of the game when the game is on the line. Burnitz swings and misses, and he is out number 2. And he gets his first strikeout as a Cub. NFL Finals, for those of you wanting to hear that. Baltimore beat the Jets 24-10. Miami beat Buffalo 13-7. New Orleans came back and beat Carolina 19-14. The coach 2-0. Steelers beat the Bears 17-12. Bengals 34. Detroit 28 in overtime. As Grissom fouls it back. Jacksonville beat the Chiefs 21-16. Vikings beat the Rams 38-31 in a shootout. Falcons 17, Eagles 12. San Diego beat Tennessee 13-7, and Green Bay over Tampa Bay 23-15. Grissom hits a high fly ball into left center field. Who wants it? It'll be Merced. He puts it away in the inning over. Solo home run by Cirillo, his second of the day. Gives Milwaukee a big insurance run, but Sammy's due second in the bottom of the ninth. Well, here we go. Do or die time in the ninth. Milwaukee with a 10-8 lead. Grace, Sosa, and then the pitcher's spot due in the ninth inning.
And yesterday in the ninth, with a 2-run deficit, Sosa and Hill started it off with base hits. Today it'll be Mark Grace and Sammy Sosa at 1 and 2. And if Mark can get on, Sammy will then be gunning for Big Mac and a tie in the same at bat.
Grace 2 hits and 4 tries today. Looks at a strike from Eric Plunk. Worked efficiently in the 8th inning. The Cubs, one of the best comeback teams in the National League. Can we do it again?
Well, you do it again here, and you get on that plane and head to San Diego with one of the best feelings you've had all year, because you'd keep the 1-game lead in the wild card, and you'd have 2 dramatic come from behind wins back to back.
1-1. Bouncing ball right side. Vina handles the big hop, looks at the baseball, throws out Grace. Now all Sammy can do is bring us to it in 1. But what a thrill that could be.
And look at the fans. Every man, woman, and child on their feet all around the ballpark. The biggest crowd of the year greeting Sammy Sosa.
Almost 41,000 here today. The Cubs have drawn 2.46 million fans. And with 3 more home games, should go over 2.5 million. Plunk sets. What a cut. It's 0-1.
Pedro Valdez in the on-deck circle. He'll hit after Sammy. If he can keep it alive, it'll be Gaetti. And the crowds are getting bigger across the street. They can't get any bigger in the ballpark.
The 0-1. Again, it bounces up there. Same pattern to Sosa as we saw with Grace. Hopefully we'll see a different result. Mark McGwire with 62 homers. Sammy Sosa with 61. And we have 2 weeks to go in the season. Who will win the race? The stretch, the 1-1. He laid off outside. 2-1.
Look at those folks waiting for number 62.
The net's almost unfair. The 2-1. Swung on. There she goes. Number 62. Move over, Big Mac. You got company.
el 27 de septiembre. Sí, señor. Qué gran momento para todos nosotros. Cuadrangular 62.
Stoney, what a moment for two men, two nations, and two great storied ball clubs.
Both of these great sluggers, Chip, have completely erased all the ghosts of the past in baseball. And then there were two, McGwire and Sosa, alone atop the leaderboard with 2 weeks to go. And Sammy Sosa with 2 monstrous home runs has caught Big Mac. And the fans here on their feet screaming. They will not allow this game to continue. The Cubs still one back. They still have 2 outs to go, and they're screaming for Sammy to take yet another in a series of curtain calls to commemorate that particular piece of baseball history.
And isn't it something? Mark McGwire so gracious in St. Louis, as was Sammy Sosa when he got to 62 first, said, wouldn't it be something if we both finished tied? Well, I don't think they're going to stop at 62, but right now, with the Cardinals having a game to play, that man and Mark McGwire are the home run kings this season.
Later on in that game, when McGwire hit historic number 62, he went to first base and he said to McGwire, don't get too far ahead, wait for me. Well, you know it wasn't intentional, but Big Mac has waited, and Sammy has kept on coming to the point now where they're tied, and that's his family, his brothers calling home to commemorate this moment, and it just plain sends chills up your spine.
You just wonder when, for both McGwire and Sosa, the enormity of what they are doing will catch up to them.
Well, they have erased every other competitor in the history of this game, and those two stand alone as they both now will streak to the finish line. Who's going to win it is anybody's guess, but there's only 2 left, and one is wearing red and one is wearing blue.
Ironically, the same colors on our symbol of pride, Old Glory, and the same colors on the Dominican flag as well. What a job by the grounds crew here at Wrigley Field to clean off the debris. The fans in jubilation. And again, Sosa continues just to concentrate on the ball game.
And now, fans, there's a game to be won, and it's Henry Rodriguez who's going to come on to pinch hit with Gary Gaetti in the on-deck circle. And the Cubs looking for at least one more run. And that young man wearing the Sosa shirt,
and look at the dad,
will remember this game forever.
And look at the dad in tears. That's what this game's all about, folks. He's human after all. Henry sent a rocket right center field. That ball is off the wall. Henry hobbling towards second. He's going to make it with a double, and the tying run's on. As long as my grandfather has, but when crazy things like this keep happening, I remember what he once said in, I think, the 4th game of the year in 1964. He predicted the Cardinals were going to win the pennant that year. If this continues, you just think maybe it's our year.
Well, this wasn't as dramatic as the Kirk Gibson home run, but Henry Rodriguez essentially on one leg hits a double and then hobbles into second. Now Jason Maxwell, carrying the tying run, is on second base as a pinch runner.
Gaetti tried to check it and could not. This is unbelievable.
Rod Beck is in the bullpen, hoping that the Cubs win it, as you look at Jason Maxwell carrying the tying run.
If you can't outpitch him, try to outslug him. The stretch now. The 0-1. He didn't go. 1-1. What a privilege. We have seen 2 men hit their 62nd homers in the span of a little more than a week. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2 called on the outside corner.
As the players and the fans try to rein in their emotions because there is a game to be won and a huge game for the Cubs. Wasn't much doubt about either of those home runs. They were exploded.
1-2. Bouncing ball up the middle, base hit. Maxwell rounds third. He's gonna score, and we are tied. Oh, baby, listen to this place. And not a beanie baby has been tossed. Now the winning run's on.
Well, when you only have 1 save, and it's Eric Plunk with only 1, it's really tough to shut down the opposition. And Plunk has been unable to do that. Spurred on by the home run by Sammy Sosa, a double by Rodriguez. Gary Gaetti comes through again, his 3rd run driven in today.
Mickey sprays that ball foul. Boy, you wonder the way Gaetti's been playing for the Cubs. When he takes off that uniform shirt, if there's not a big S tattooed on his chest, he has been Superman. He's unbelievable. He's at first with 1 out. The 0-1. Off speed high. Well, Grandpa, wherever you're watching, man, oh man. 1 ball, 1 strike. The stretch, the pitch. He flirted with a double and almost picked off Tom Gamboa. 1-2. And for that man, Phil Garner. Another slugfest that he has seen. Battled back to even keel. 1-2. Plunk ready. Here it is. Oh, he swung at a slider in on his thumbs, and he's out number 2. But here's Tyler.
And here comes Phil Garner. He's going to the pen, and it's going to be Mike Myers. Well, Chip, back in the glory years of the Philadelphia Phillies, it was Tug McGraw with the saying, "You gotta believe." And the more you see of this Cub team, and the more you see of Sammy Sosa and the rest of this offense, you gotta believe certainly could become one of the trademark phrases of this team. Matt Mieske will come out to try to do in his former mates. As Mike Myers comes into the ball game.
Well, so I mean, talk all you want about the home runs. What's excited me most about this incredible chase of McGwire and Sosa are the shots that the producers and the directors have gotten for you. Sammy Sosa weeping, the fans weeping, holding their children, the pop and the hop from Sammy, the banners, the signs, the resurgence of our game, and the raw emotion that people, when they leave the ballpark, are incredibly, completely, totally exhausted when the day is done.
And for Southwest Airlines, historic number 62 went 480 historic feet.
And the way Sammy keeps getting those guys airtime, they ought to give him a jet.
Take another look at it. Sammy got every bit of this. And that started the Cubs on the comeback trail here in the 9th inning. Just like he did yesterday. Only yesterday it was a base hit. Today it was historic number 62.
A hero a day. And for many, many days, it's been Sammy Sosa who now has belted 10 home runs this year against Milwaukee. And don't forget, when you think about adding up the final totals, he's got 2 more games against these guys in Brew City, starting off the final road trip of the year. He's answered more curtain calls than Luciano Pavarotti. And he has indeed performed 62 beautiful arias this year.
Mike Myers comes in at 2-2, ERA 2.79 on for the 67th time. And he'll be facing Matt Mieske, the former Brewer.
So let's see if Matt can bite the hand that once fed him here. Mieske with a home run. On the year, he looks at a strike. And Myers with that funky arm angle. The submarining southpaw. Looking ahead to the 10th. Milwaukee will have the lower third of their order due. This baby ain't over by a long shot. 0-1. Way outside. Almost to the bricks. That would have been nice. 1-1. Orlando Merced waiting on deck.
Well, if Mieske can keep it alive, then Merced, for the second time in as many days, will have the opportunity to end the game with one swing of the bat.
And if you're just joining us, you haven't missed much.
No.
It's 10-10 in the 9th. 1-1. Low. 2-1. What do you think the Mets are thinking right now? After beating Montreal, they're probably just getting through customs. They're going to find out that Sammy hit number 62 and we're tied, and maybe a chance to win it here. Strike 2. And for a team, Stoney, that had so much trouble winning games, or at least getting tied to games in their last at bat, all of a sudden in the last 2 days, the Cubs have battled back to do just that. A lot of veterans on this team who never say die. Yesterday it was 5 to win. We've scored 2 to tie here today. The shooter, Rod Beck, is ready in the Cubs bullpen. A right-hander toiling for the Brewers in their pen. I think it's Reyes. Let's see what Mieske does first. It is Reyes. 2-2. Gaetti leads at first. The pitch way outside. 3-2. A walk puts the winning run in scoring position, and Gaetti will get a head start. If Mieske could fill a gap, we could win it right here.
Well, the outfield's going to play a few steps deeper. They've got to cut everything off, but the advantage for Gary Gaetti is he'll be off with a pitch.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody has left. The runner goes. Pitch is a ball. First and second. A hit wins it. And now Merced will be called back for Manny Alexander. Well, if the Cubs don't win it, we're going to have a real interesting looking fielding team out there in this 10th inning. Alexander will be announced, and then Phil Garner has a decision to make. The gears really turning here. Garner on his way out. The decision is made. Alexander announced. Reyes will come in. And as the Brewers skipper heads to the mound, let's step out for a moment. We'll pause for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN, Chicago.
Man, unbelievable. What a pleasure, what a thrill, what an honor it is to be a part of this. Seen at Wrigley Field, Sammy Sosa has hit 2 home runs. He's got 62, as does Mark McGwire. And big fella, you're probably watching down in Houston, where the Cardinals play the Stros later on tonight. Go get him. And I know you're happy for Sammy, and he's happy for you. You each have 62. And look at how the race has been even.
Well, Max started out, but it's not a sprint. It's a marathon like the season. And here on September 13th, at least for the moment, the two big guys are tied at 62. And Al Reyes will come on. And he'll face Manny Alexander.
You out of gas over there, man? This is unbelievable. You run out of superlatives, really, when you think about it.
And Reyes at 5-0. He's had a very good year. ERA .417 on for the 45th time. And I would say for the last week, you at home who certainly have been able to witness this chase on WGN have certainly joined us here at the ballpark, but these games have you pretty much on the edge of your seat the entire game, with very little decided in most cases until the last at bat each and every day.
Arnie Harris, who's been here almost as long as the Ivies covered the walls at Wrigley Field, just told me in my earpiece that these are the two most exciting games he has seen ever, back to back, in 35 years of doing baseball here. That's saying something, folks, because there have been some great players and some pretty good teams here too, and some exciting moments as well. But you've seen it all here today and yesterday, and we hope you're enjoying it as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you around the country here on WGN. And there's still a scrum going on for the ball.
62, baby!
So here is Manny. And now he steps out. The winning run at second base. The Cubs for the second straight day trying to win a ball game in their last at bat. Reyes sets the pitch. It's high. Lance Johnson waiting on deck. The game in the hand of Reyes. No one else warming for the Brewers. One of the best pinch hitters in baseball this year, and certainly average-wise in the National League, is Manny Alexander. The 1-0. Low. 2-0.
One of the big problems for Reyes has been his control. He's averaged 5 walks per 9 innings.
Runners lead at first and second. 2 in, 2 out. And he got the off-speed pitch over for a strike. That was the "oh, please catch the corner curveball." And it did. 2-1. The runner at second belongs to Plunk. That could be the game-deciding run. 2-1. Low. 3-1. Oh, baby, that was close. What an eye. They're ready to erupt out of that Cub dugout. Three balls, 1 strike. Swung on, popped up, and playable for Nilsson in foul ground. He's got it, and the inning is over. Manny upset with himself. Pitch may have been high. In any event, the Cubs tie it in the 9th. Sammy has 62. We go to the 10th. It's 10-10. He's the man of the hour, Sammy Sosa, with a couple of jacks. 10-10 as we head to the 10th. Matt Mieske stays in the game. He'll play left field for the Cubs. Sandy Martinez behind the plate to catch. And Rod Beck will work against the lower third of the Brewers order in the top half of the 10th. And Stoney, you get the impression whoever has the last swing is going to win this ball game. And that, fortunately, would be the Cubs. They're the home team.
Well, Rod Beck picked up the win yesterday. He pitched a third of an inning to get it. Today he's going to have to go at least an inning. 2-2, 3.04 ERA, on for the 73rd time.
Martinez will lead it off for Milwaukee. He tries to bunt, does toward first. Grace handles. He'll tag him out. Good play, Grace. One away. Not a bad idea by the speedy leadoff man, but Grace fielded it. The ball hit a little too hard. One pitch, one out.
Well, you want the second baseman to field this, but Mark Grace with the angle puts the tag on. And he looked like a defensive back trying to cut down a guy intent on scoring a touchdown, and he does not get the bag.
Well, nobody needs a touchdown, just an extra point in this one. As Mike Matheny, the catcher, stands in, and Beck fires outside.
You get the feeling if you get through this, you're at the top of the order. And it's been awfully deadly at the top of the order for the Cubs. So Rod Beck with 1 inning of work, and then you win it in the bottom of the 10th.
The Brewers are out, I believe, of extra men in this game. The Cubs have 3 extra players left. They've got 2. Sandy checks into the game. It's Valdez and Blauser. The Cubs also have Adams and Stevens in the bullpen if necessary. The 1-2. Got him swinging. High heat. 2 down.
And Reyes is going to have to hit for himself. High fastball, and Matheny takes a seat.
Well, it would be nice to see a nice clean 1-2-3 from Beck here. And if this inning goes easily, and if he has to pitch another, he should be okay. Reyes pops it up out of play. Strike 1. I haven't been here but this year, but I sure hope that this is the start of many an exciting season. And again, you have to tip your cap to the players, the front office of the Cubs, for the team that has been assembled here. And really, you have to tip your cap to the fans who poured through the turnstiles at 2.5 million strong. Folks, the players may not tell it to you personally, but believe me, your enthusiasm rubs off. It means a lot. 1 ball, 2 strikes. These guys have fed off of that from day one.
One breaking ball from Rod Beck, and it should be on to the bottom of the 10th.
1-2. You called it. 3 up, 3 down. Now let's win this thing. Johnson, Hernandez, Grace. Could Sammy hit number 63? He'd be due fourth. Well, it's 10-10, bottom of the 10th. Unfair. The 2-1. Swung on, there she goes. Number 62. Move over, Big Mac. You got company. Sammy's hit 2 home runs. And this one's not just for my granddad. This one's for Cub fans everywhere. If we can get this one, what a lift it would be. Sosa with 62 homers. That's one tired manager.
Well, you come back here, and these are going to be 2 of the games this season that no one will ever forget.
Oh, man, no doubt about that. Lance Johnson's going to lead it off. He's 2 for 5 with a triple. And he takes a strike from Reyes. Johnson, a slow ground ball to Vina. He handles the hop, and there's 1 man down.
Cubs need one base runner to bring Sammy to the plate again. That's assuming that Jose and Mark don't end it.
Now remember, in the 9th inning, Grace opened up the frame by grounding out to second, then Sammy hit the home run. Lance grounds out to second, and here's Jose. He's got home run juice. He's 1 for 5, and he looks inside. One for 2 lifetime, and the pitch, line drive right field. It's going to be caught.
What a good play by Burnitz. That sinking line drive. Ticketed for a base hit, but it didn't work out that way. As Jeromy Burnitz makes a fine play. Jose hit it right on the nose, but Burnitz right there. What a ball game.
If any of you had the foresight to get this one on videotape, send us a copy. This one's worthy of keeping in the archives, as was yesterday's game. Grace 2 out of 5 today with a double. 2 up, 2 down. Grace sends a drive deep right. That ball game is over. Cubs win. The Cubs win. Grandpa, I gotta use it. Holy cow, what a game.
Filled with dramatic moments and historic moments, it finally ends so appropriately on a home run. Only this time it wasn't Sammy Sosa. This time it was Mark Grace hitting his 16th. 3 hits today. The final one ending a great comeback by the Cubs, who have kept their 1-game lead in the wild card, and the fans refusing to go home.
And how fitting is it on Gracie the Swan Beanie Baby that he takes the Swan song with the game-winning homer. The Cubs will maintain their wild card lead. Sammy Sosa has hit 61 and 62. And folks, it's a shame we got to head west to San Diego. Wow.